Chapter 83. At this moment, everyone was concerned about the matter of Ling Yunfei's mother. They were not prepared at all. They did not expect that the Ling family head would still be so stubborn and try to kill Qin Feiyang. However, it did not mean that Qin Feiyang was not prepared. Uncle Yuan had repeatedly warned him that no matter how strong or weak the enemy was, he had to go all out. Therefore, even though the Ling family head was now a prisoner, he did not let down his guard. Just as the Ling family head's fist was about to hit him, he did not hesitate to grab Ling Yunfei and use the Luo Yan steps to retreat. Because he knew that once the Ling family head failed, he would definitely attack Ling Yunfei again. The Ling family head's fist missed, but he did not give up and continued to pounce on the two. With Qin Feiyang's cultivation, even with the Luo Yan steps, his speed could not be compared to the Ling family head. If there was no one around today, the two of them would definitely die. But don't forget, there were still a few big shots around. After Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master reacted, they rushed towards the Ling family head at almost the same time. Cold light shot out from their eyes. Both of them were battle kings. How fast was their speed? In the blink of an eye, they grabbed the Ling family head and forcefully suppressed him. The Ling family head's face was ashen, and he was completely in despair. Now, it was impossible for anyone to help him. Even if the city lord wanted to, he did not have the guts. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "City lord, how do you plan to deal with this person? What do you think?" The city lord asked. Qin Feiyang said, "If it were up to me, I would kill him directly and end it all." The city lord said, "This matter is not serious enough to kill. How about this, I will give the order to drive the Ling family out of Black Bear City." The Ling family head was overjoyed. As long as he did not die, there was still a chance. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Drive out of Black Bear City? This was simply a joke. The city lord was obviously still protecting the Ling family. Qin Feiyang glanced at the city lord and then at the Ling family head, who was restrained by Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master, kneeling on the ground, unable to move. This was undoubtedly a good opportunity. His eyes flashed and he said lightly, "If that's the case, I have a few words to say to the Ling family head." He strode over and whispered into the Ling family head's ear, "Do you think that with the help of the city lord, you can escape today?" Finished speaking, he took out the Chang Shui and swung it fiercely, directly cutting off the Ling family head's neck. Then, he immediately put away the Chang Shui. The speed was too fast. In addition, no one was mentally prepared. All they saw was a flash of white light, and a neat cut appeared on Ling family head's throat. Blood spurted out like a fountain. "You," the Ling family head glared at Qin Feiyang, his eyes full of hatred. It was as if he wanted to say something, but before he could, his head tilted to one side and he died on the spot. Everyone was dumbstruck. Especially the disciples of the Ling family, they were extremely nervous. The death of the family head was equivalent to the collapse of the family's pillar of support. To them, it was equivalent to a catastrophe. Boom! All of a sudden, a terrifying aura surged out like an avalanche, shocking the entire place. It was the city lord who was flipping out. After being provoked one after another, he was about to go berserk. But at the same time, Luo Xiong also released his aura and confronted the city lord. The two giants looked at each other, and their expressions gradually turned cold. Humph! In the end, the city lord snorted, flicked his sleeves, and turned to leave angrily. He didn't dare to stay any longer. Because he was afraid that he couldn't control himself and really fought with Luo Xiong. Once the city lord left, the disciples and servants of the Ling family were even more flustered. Although the treasure pavilion master had the ability to fight with Luo Xiong, he obviously didn't want to meddle in other people's business. The martial arts hall master's standpoint also changed because of Ling Yunfei. Now, who could help them? Who would be willing to help them? They all knew that today was the end of the Ling family. Luo Xiong glanced at the Ling family and said, "Let's go, we will wait outside." The group left the Ling family. Fatso went to Qin Feiyang and said with a flattering smile, "Jiang Laoda, you have to keep your word. I will definitely not treat you badly." Qin Feiyang patted Fatso's shoulder and turned to Ling Yunfei. He smiled faintly and said, "When old Feng and the others bring your mother back, you have to thank them and this fat lord." N. Ling Yunfei nodded and cupped his hands. "Thank you, fat bro." Fatso waved his hand and said, "We are all brothers, no need to be so polite. But you are quite good at hiding. Not only did you deceive the Ling family for more than 10 years, but you also deceived everyone in Black Bear City. I didn't want it to be like this," Ling Yunfei said dejectedly. Fatso walked over and put his arm around Ling Yunfei's shoulder. He laughed and said, "Brother, the beautiful life is still waiting for us to enjoy. Those unlucky things in the past, let's just treat it as a fart. Anyway, it is others who are stinking, right?" Ah! Ling Yunfei was stunned. What kind of logic was this? However, after hearing Fatso's words, his heart relaxed a lot. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but shake his head and laugh. Although Fatso was usually a bit unreliable, he was quite reliable at critical moments. "Ling Yunfei, I killed your second uncle. Do you hate me?" he suddenly asked. "Of course not. I thought that if he died in front of me, I would be more or less sad. But when he really died in front of me, I found that I couldn't feel sad at all. In fact, there was a strong sense of pleasure in my heart," Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang and Fatso looked at each other. How deep was his resentment? "I'm afraid that since childhood, he has never lived a peaceful life. My lords, who killed Zhao Lu and Li Seven? Why did the city lord look so angry just now?" As soon as Qin Feiyang and the others walked out of the Ling residence, the family heads surrounded them, their eyes full of surprise. Luo Xiong said, "It was the Ling family head who instigated Butler Ling to kill them, in order to frame Jiang Haotian." The crowd was in an uproar. Fatso stepped forward and shouted, "By the way, let me tell you that the Ling family head is dead. The city lord personally ordered that the Ling family will be removed from Black Bear City from now on." As soon as the news came out, it immediately exploded. In just a few hundred breaths, it spread to every corner of Black Bear City, and everyone knew about it. Some were shocked. Some were happy. Of course, the Jiang family and the Mu family were happy. Because the destruction of the Ling family was equivalent to one less strong competitor. From then on, the situation in Black Bear City was no longer a tripartite. The most important thing was that without the Ling family, they would get more benefits. As for the patriarchs of the small families, they were probably thinking about how to rise up and become the third big family after the Ling family. An hour later, Feng Cheng and Elder Mo finally returned. Behind them, there was a woman. Her hair was disheveled, her face was pale, and she was extremely haggard. Her clothes were also extremely dirty. She looked as if she had just walked out of a garbage dump, and her body was emitting a foul smell. Moreover, on her wrists and ankles, there were 2 dark iron chains, as thick as a baby's arm. As she walked, she kept making clanging sounds. The 2 iron chains were very heavy, and every step she took was very difficult. "Mother!" Ling Yunfei's body trembled, and he looked at the woman without blinking. In an instant, tears streamed down his face, and his heart ached. Not to mention Ling Yunfei, even Qin Feiyang, Luo Xiong, and the others couldn't help but feel sour in their hearts. When the woman saw Ling Yunfei as well, she stopped in her tracks and called out softly. Her tears also fell uncontrollably. "Mother!" Ling Yunfei roared and ran forward hurriedly, hugging the woman and crying bitterly. Luo Xiong asked, "Old Feng, old Mo, why didn't you help her remove the iron chains on her? Feng Qing smiled. It's better to leave this matter to her son. Elder Mo had a smile on his face as well. Qin Feiyang asked in confusion, Elders, where are the elders of the Ling family? Feng Qing said, we let them go. Let them go. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. Those elders were all martial ancestor realm cultivators. This was akin to letting the tiger return to the mountain. Feng Qing waved his hands indifferently and said, don't worry, I've already taught them a lesson. I believe they won't dare to find trouble with you and Ling Yunfei again. I hope so. Qin Feiyang mumbled. The destruction of the Ling family was caused by him. The head of the Ling family was also killed by him. He didn't believe that those elders would give up. But since they had already let them go, what else can they do? They can only be careful in the future. Luo Xiong smiled. Jiang Haotian, let's go and give the mother and son a chance to be alone. Qin Feiyang nodded. Although there are many doubts in his heart, it's obviously not the time to ask. After Qin Feiyang and others left, the others also dispersed. Jiang family head looked at the gate of the Ling family, his eyes flashed with an inexplicable light. He walked to Mu family head and whispered. I have something to discuss with you. Mu family head looked at him with some surprise and said. It just so happens that I have something to discuss with you. The two family heads mixed in the crowd and quickly left. Soon. Only the martial arts hall master and Ling Yunfei's mother and son were left. The martial arts hall master stepped forward and smiled. Yunfei, I believe your mother is tired. Let's go back to the martial arts hall and let your mother take a hot bath and relax. You can talk slowly. Okay. Ling Yunfei nodded and turned his head to look around. He was slightly stunned and asked. Where are Jiang Haotian and the others? The martial arts hall master said. They left first. Ling Yunfei said anxiously. I haven't thanked them properly. How can they leave? There will be plenty of time in the future. Why are you in a hurry? The martial arts hall master shook his head and smiled. That's true. Ling Yunfei nodded and smiled. He borrowed a dagger from the martial arts hall master. After cutting the two iron chains, he supported the woman and told her what happened these days. Then, he followed the martial arts hall master to the Dan Hall. At the same time, the guards of the city lord mansion went to the major city gates and posted a notice. The content was roughly. The Ling family spread rumors and caused trouble. From today onwards, the Ling family will be removed from the Black Bear City. All the children of the Ling family will be ordered to leave the Black Bear City before dawn tomorrow. Once this notice was posted, the destruction of the Ling family became a foregone conclusion. No one could change it. But in the city lord mansion, the city lord summoned two guards. These two people were his confidants. Leave the city immediately. No matter what, you have to find the elders of the Ling family. After you find them, don't tell anyone. Don't bring them back. Temporarily settle them in the nearby mountains and wait for my next order. The city lord ordered, and the two immediately left. Little bastard, you think it's over? Let me tell you, it's still too early. Chapter 84. On the way back to the Pill Palace. Feng Qing rubbed Qin Feiyang's head and asked curiously, why are you so smart? What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was stunned and looked at him in confusion. At that time, we all saw the elders of the Ling family leaving first. However, we didn't expect that they were planning to escape with Ling Yunfei's mother. Not only did you think of that, you even asked Fatso to follow them. I really want to open your head and see what's inside. As Feng Qing spoke, he stared at Qin Feiyang's head, his eyes shining. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel numb. He hurriedly took a few steps to the side. Then, he laughed dryly and said, I'm just a blind cat running into a dead mouse. I'm just lucky. Don't talk nonsense with me. Feng Qing stared at him and said, tell me honestly. Did you kill Zhao Lu and the others? Qin Feiyang said, I swear that it was Butler Ling who killed them. This was the truth. There was no need to feel guilty. Feng Qing frowned and said, why did that Ling guy say that the bodies were buried outside of the Pill Palace? Qin Feiyang briefly explained what happened that night. Huh, so that's how it is. Interesting. Really interesting. Brat, I realize that I like you more and more. Why don't you be my disciple? Feng Qing laughed and said. Luo Xiong and Elder Mo both looked at Feng Qing with disdain. He had level 9 mental power. He even concocted a supreme-grade elixir on his first try. With such talent, you're worthy to be his master. Before you open your mouth, can you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? What kind of virtue are you? You're really shameless. Although the two of them didn't say it out loud, anyone who understood would be able to read their eyes. However, Feng Qing wasn't embarrassed at all. He said confidently, no matter what, I am the most experienced elder of the Pill Palace. I am more than qualified to teach a newbie like him. Alright then, why don't you go and refine a top-grade pill for me to see? If you can't refine it, then stop talking nonsense. Don't embarrass yourself here. Elder Mo said mercilessly. Feng Qing was furious on the spot. Seeing that a quarrel was about to break out, Luo Xiong's face darkened. He shouted, enough, enough. Don't you see that there are still 2 disciples here? Quarreling here and there, what a scandal. Fatso hurriedly said, I didn't hear anything. Qin Feiyang also said seriously, I didn't see anything either. But I don't care if he's a disciple, but if he can be my grandson-in-law, I can seriously consider it. Grandson-in-law? Luo Xiong and the other man were taken aback. Their eyes immediately turned playful. Feng Qing was also taken aback. Then, he became furious and shouted, bastard, you're making fun of my granddaughter again. See if I don't teach you a lesson today. TSK, looking at your face, your granddaughter probably isn't that good-looking either. I don't even like her. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he hurriedly ran away. My granddaughter isn't that good-looking. Feng Qing was stunned for a moment, then he roared in exasperation, brat, stop right there. Luo Xiong hurriedly grabbed him and said angrily, you're already so old, yet you're still causing trouble. Don't you feel ashamed? He's already lost all his face. Elder Mo suddenly stabbed him again, causing Feng Qing to blow his beard and glare. He was extremely angry. Seeing that the situation wasn't good, Fatso also hurriedly ran away. After catching up to Qin Feiyang, he looked at Qin Feiyang with a strange expression and asked, Jiang Laoda, have you seen Elder Feng's granddaughter? No. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked confusedly, why do you ask? Nothing, nothing. Fatso waved his hand, but there was a trace of ridicule in his eyes. He secretly laughed and said, when you see her in person, you'll know what it means to be shocking. Back at the pill hall. Qin Feiyang directly went to the pill fire hall and entered the number 4 alchemy room. But he didn't refine any pills. He went to the ancient castle and started to copy the 4th stroke of the calligraphy. To copy the 3rd stroke, he used 8,000 chi amassing pills. If there were no accidents, the 4th stroke should cost 32,000 chi amassing pills. Luckily, he didn't lack chi amassing pills now. Late at night, a group of black-clothed people broke into the Ling family. They were powerful, and their methods were vicious. They were like grim reapers from hell, crazily reaping lives. None of the disciples and servants survived. During the entire process, not a single scream was heard. In the end, this group of black-clothed people even took away all of the Ling family's treasures and resources. In other words, The Ling family only had a dozen elders and Ling Yan left. Without a doubt. The next day. This incident caused a huge uproar. Everyone was guessing who was so vicious. They actually massacred the Ling family in one night. After the city lord heard the news, there was no doubt that he was furious. He ordered people to investigate thoroughly. The first person they thought of was Qin Feiyang. Because in the entire Black Bear City, only Qin Feiyang had the deepest grudge with the Ling family. But soon, Luo Xiong stood up and helped Qin Feiyang to clarify. Everyone began to suspect Ling Yunfei again. The martial arts hall master also stood up and helped Ling Yunfei to clarify. If it wasn't Qin Feiyang or Ling Yunfei, then who could it be? No one could think of a third person. As time passed, this matter didn't fade away. Instead, it continued to ferment and become more and more serious. But the culprit couldn't be found. At the same time, various small families also began to fish in troubled waters, wanting to soar into the sky and become the third largest family. But how could the Mu family and the Jiang family let them succeed? Full suppression. The situation in Black Bear City was getting more and more chaotic by the day. Undercurrents were surging. Open strife and covert fighting. Every day, there were people disappearing for no reason. On this day, Cheng Yi, Ji Jin, Lu Hong, and Ling Yan were finally released from the pig cage. After a month of contamination. Without exception. The four of them were covered in a foul stench. Anyone who met them would pinch their noses and take a detour. The four of them held their hands, lowered their heads, and silently returned to their residence with a heart full of resentment. They washed and scrubbed until the stench on their bodies was completely washed away. Only then did they dare to show their faces in front of others. Ling Yan immediately knew that the Ling family was massacred. A ball of anger immediately burned in his heart. Cheng Yi and the other two were also furious when they knew that the alchemy room was occupied. They swore silently in their hearts. They must pay back 100 times and wash away their shame. On the same day, a small piece of news spread among the disciples of the Pill Hall. Have you heard? Jiang Haotian and Elder Feng's granddaughter are engaged. He's just a person who got in through connections. He didn't rely on his own ability. That's right. He could get the right to use alchemy room number 4 because of Elder Feng's special care. I thought he was very capable. Turns out he's just a pretty boy who relies on women. This kind of pretentious person is really disgusting. For a moment, discussions were everywhere in the Pill Hall. The news quickly reached Feng Cheng's ears. He was furious on the spot. He immediately went to the Pill Fire Hall. Jiang Haotian, get out here. He stood outside alchemy room number 4 and shouted angrily. Qin Feiyang frowned. Why did Feng Cheng come to him? He had already copied half of the 4th stroke. He wanted to copy it all at once. But now, it seemed that he could only stop here temporarily. After closing the iron book, he appeared in the alchemy room with a thought. At this moment, Feng Cheng lost his patience. He directly smashed open the stone door and walked in angrily. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, Elder Feng, who made you so angry? Feng Cheng said with a sullen face, you still have the nerve to ask. Tell me, what's going on with the rumors outside? Gossips? Qin Feiyang frowned. Feng Cheng said angrily, now everyone is talking about the engagement between you and my granddaughter. You dare to say that this has nothing to do with you? Engagement? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He was a little confused. But suddenly, he remembered. Last time in the restaurant, he did talk about this with Cheng Yi. It was just that he didn't expect Cheng Yi to make a fuss about this. Elder Feng, listen to my explanation. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. After he closed the stone door, he began to narrate what had happened in detail. After Elder Feng heard this, he frowned and said, "Even so, you shouldn't talk nonsense." Qin Feiyang nodded and said, "Yes, yes, yes. It's my fault. I apologize to you. I apologize to your granddaughter. If an apology is useful, what's the use of the law? My granddaughter is still a virgin. Do you know how much of an impact you've had on her after hearing what you've said? Kid, you must give me a satisfactory answer as soon as possible. Otherwise, you'll get it." Feng Qing glared at him fiercely, then turned around and left. Chapter 85. Qin Feiyang walked out of the alchemy room. Feng Cheng's roar alarmed everyone in the Pill Fire Palace. Everyone walked out of the alchemy room. Therefore, the left and right sides of the corridor were crowded. Moreover, seeing Qin Feiyang come out, everyone looked at him with disdain. "Make way." Fatso pushed through the crowd and walked to Qin Feiyang, whispering, "There are a few things I want to talk to you about. Let's go to the alchemy room first." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two entered the alchemy room and closed the stone door. Fatso glanced at the alchemy furnace and said in surprise, "There's no medicinal fragrance or high temperature. You didn't refine pills this month?" Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. Fatso was really meticulous. "I was cultivating." He answered casually and asked, "What do you want to say?" "Yes, yes, yes. Let's get down to business. Just a month ago, on the night we left the Ling family was massacred." Fatso said. "What?" Qin Feiyang turned pale with fright and asked, "Who is the real murderer?" Fatso shook his head. "We haven't found the murderer yet, but they're all suspecting you." "Suspecting me?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "That's right. Although the temple master cleared your name in time and we all know that you've been in the alchemy room this month, others don't know. Since we can't find the murderer, everyone is starting to suspect you. And there are rumors that you and Ling Yunfei joined hands and massacred the Ling family." Fatso said. "Nonsense." Qin Feiyang was furious. Even an idiot would know that he and Ling Yunfei were not capable of massacring the Ling family. It's no use getting angry. The most important thing now is to find the murderer. Otherwise, if this continues, it'll be bad for you." Fatso said in a low voice. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. Who was it that was causing trouble in the dark? Could it be that there was a premeditated plan to frame him? No. If they really wanted to frame him, the real culprit would definitely be at the scene and leave some clues or evidence about him. This way, when the people from the city lord's mansion went to investigate the scene and saw the evidence, they would definitely come to the pill hall immediately to ask him. However, until now, no one had come to look for him. From this, it could be seen that this was not a conspiracy against him. Could it be revenge? Qin Feiyang asked, "Fatso, does the Ling family have any enemies outside?" "I've never heard of that. However, it can't be someone from the outside. After all, the 4 city gates are guarded day and night. If a large number of people were to enter Black Bear City, it would be impossible for nothing to happen that night. If we really want to talk about enmity, I'm afraid the Jiang family and the Mu family have the deepest hatred for the Ling family." Fatty's analysis was clear and logical. When the Jiang family and the Mu family were mentioned, the two of them looked at each other at the same time. Their eyes were shining. Fatso shook his head again and said, No, the city lord has already given the order to chase the Ling family out of Black Bear City. The Jiang and Mu families don't need to massacre the Ling family." Qin Feiyang nodded. He also felt that it was reasonable. But suddenly, he thought of something and asked, "What if they are worried that the Ling family will rise from the ashes?" "What do you mean?" Fatso was surprised. Qin Feiyang said, everyone knows that the city lord is biased towards the Ling family. We can't rule out the possibility that they will return to Black Bear City one day. The patriarchs of the Jiang and Mu families aren't idiots. It's impossible for them not to see through this. Fatso continued, so, they took this opportunity to eliminate the Ling family? Qin Feiyang nodded. All the disputes in this world were basically inseparable from the word benefit. For benefits, some people could turn against each other, some even disown their own family. The Jiang family, the Mu family, and the Ling family had been fighting openly and secretly for so many years, scheming to destroy each other. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could they let it go so easily? Not to mention, in the entire Black Bear City, other than the Pill Hall, the Martial Arts Hall, and the Treasure Pavilion, only the Jiang family and the Mu family had the ability to massacre the Ling family. After pondering for a while, Qin Feiyang said, Fatso, do me another favor. Fatso said with a sneaky smile, as long as there are benefits, not to mention one, even if it's 10, Fat Lord will do it. Qin Feiyang said, help me spy on the Jiang family and the Mu family. Fatso immediately frowned. Qin Feiyang said with a flattering tone, I don't dare to say for others, but for you, Fat Lord, I believe that with your brain, you will definitely be able to handle it easily. Fatso rolled his eyes and said helplessly, although I know you are flattering Fat Lord, there is no other way. Who told the Fat Lord to like this? Okay, I will leave this matter to the Fat Lord. After saying that, Fatso was about to leave, but suddenly he slapped his head and said angrily, look at my memory, there is another thing. 1 month later, the Danwang Hall will send people to Black Bear City. What are they coming for? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Of course, they are coming to select talents. It is said that there are only 3 spots in total. One of them is a predetermined spot. This spot was originally given to Cheng Yi, but now that you are here, he will definitely not get it. So, you have to be careful. He may find a way to get rid of you, the stumbling block. Fatso warned. Qin Feiyang frowned and asked puzzledly, they are all entering the Danwang Hall. Is there a difference between the predetermined spot and the other 2 spots? Of course there is a difference. The holder of the predetermined spot can refine pills as soon as he enters the Danwang Hall. Moreover, whether it is the alchemy room, the residence, or the pill recipe, they will all receive special care. And the holder of the other 2 spots, after entering the Danwang Hall, has to work as a servant in the Danwang Hall for a year. When the time is up, they can enter the alchemy room to refine pills. Fatso said. The difference is so big? Qin Feiyang frowned. Wasn't being a servant the same as wasting a year's time? Not to mention wasting time, he would also have to suffer the supercilious eyes and humiliation of others all day long. It seemed that he really had to get this predetermined spot. Qin Feiyang asked, where is Cheng Yi now? At the mention of this, Fatso couldn't help but laugh mischievously. After he came out of the pig cage and learned that this alchemy room was occupied by you, he immediately went to find the hall master to reason with him. Guess what happened in the end? Don't keep me in suspense. Tell me quickly. Qin Feiyang urged. Originally, the hall master planned to give him the alchemy room number 6 after he came out. In the end, after he caused such a ruckus, not only was he fiercely reprimanded by the hall master, but he was also sent to the alchemy room 110 to stay there. Fatso said. 110. Isn't that the alchemy room I used when I first came here? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yeah, that's the worst alchemy room. The hall master gave him the alchemy room. It's more painful than killing him. The most important thing is that Ling Yan, Ji Jin, and Lu Hong were all given a pretty good alchemy room. You didn't see how ugly his face was when he entered the alchemy room 110. Fatso laughed gloatingly, and the fat all over his body was trembling. If a person doesn't know what's good for him, it's useless no matter how talented he is. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sneered. However, it said that he's preparing to fight for the predetermined quota, so he probably won't show up in a short time. Fatso said. Then shouldn't we kill him now? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. What? Fatso was shocked and said, you still want to kill him? For those who don't change their nature, only by killing him can we eliminate all future troubles. When he comes out, inform me as soon as possible. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. No problem. Fatso hesitated for a while and finally nodded. Then he took out a letter from his arms and threw it to Qin Feiyang, saying, Ling Yunfei asked Fat Lord to give this to you this morning. You're welcome. After that, Fatso left the alchemy room. Qin Feiyang opened the letter and read it carefully. Then he put the letter into his arms and entered the castle to continue the fourth stroke. In the evening, he appeared in the alchemy room again and then walked out of the Pill Fire Palace. Under countless disdainful gazes, he left the Pill Fire Palace and went to the East City Gate. He glanced at the mountain range in front of him and locked his eyes on a small forest. Then, he strode over to them. A moment later, Qin Feiyang entered the small forest and walked towards the depths of the forest. About a few hundred breaths later, he walked out of the forest and came to a river. Through the moonlight, he could clearly see a huge black rock on the other side of the river. Ling Yunfei stood on the huge rock. You're finally here. Ling Yunfei smiled. Qin Feiyang jumped across the river and landed on the huge rock. He asked, how is Auntie? Ling Yunfei said, in the first few days, she was still a little lonely and didn't like to talk much. But now she's much better. She even said that she must find a time to treat you to a meal to thank you properly. That's good. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, then why did you ask me to come here today? I asked you out. Ling Yunfei was slightly stunned and asked suspiciously, didn't you ask me out? Me? Qin Feiyang was also stunned. He frowned and said, didn't you ask Fatso to bring me a letter and ask me to come here to meet you? No, you were the one who asked someone to bring me a letter. I still have this letter. Ling Yunfei took out a letter from his arms and opened it. He handed it to Qin Feiyang and said, look, it's written clearly. Qin Feiyang looked at it and was immediately surprised. He also hurriedly took out the letter. The two pieces of letter were compared. The handwriting was exactly the same. Obviously, it was from the same person. And even the content was exactly the same. In the evening, outside the East City Gate, on the riverbank at the end of the grove. How could this be? Looking at the two pieces of letter, Ling Yunfei was very surprised. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. Suddenly, his face changed greatly and he growled, oh no, we've been fooled. This is a killing trap. Let's go. A killing trap. Ling Yunfei's body trembled. The two quickly turned around and looked at the opposite bank. They were about to jump over. Dong! But at this moment, several black shadows rushed out of the river, stirring up waves of several meters high as they pounced towards Qin Feiyang and Qin Yu. Retreat! Qin Feiyang shouted. The two retreated from the boulder at the same time. Bang! As soon as they landed on the ground, the boulder in front of them was torn apart with a loud bang. Pieces of gravel of different sizes flew toward them. Qin Feiyang and Li Tianlan were the first to bear the brunt. Chapter 86. The two of them grimaced in pain. Especially the place where they were hit by the gravel, it was a bloody mess. Fresh blood flowed out of the wound. In an instant, they were covered in blood. Whoosh! The few black figures landed on the riverbank one after another. Through the moonlight, they could clearly see their true faces and the murderous intent in their eyes. It's you guys. Qin Feiyang and Lin Haotian's expressions changed. These people were the elders of the Ling clan. Run! Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. He turned around and got up. Ignoring the injuries on his body, he ran towards the forest behind him. But, after running a few steps, he stopped and looked ahead. His pupils constricted. Because there were a few black figures in the forest ahead. At the same time, a few people walked out from the left and right. They were also the elders of the Ling clan. There were a total of 13 people. Ling Yunfei glanced at the 13 people and his face was pale. He asked, Jiang Haotian, what do we do now? Qin Feiyang said, how strong are they? Ling Yunfei said in a low voice, 11 one-star martial grandmasters and 2 two-star martial grandmasters. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. A total of 13 martial grandmasters. With his and Ling Yunfei's strength, they had no chance of winning. Why don't you guys run? Hurry, continue. Why aren't you running? Let me tell you, you won't be able to escape today. The 13 people approached step by step and surrounded the two of them in the middle. They had sinister smiles on their faces. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice, to be able to deliver the letter to us, you guys are really resourceful. One of them sneered, it's all thanks to the city lord's help. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to deliver the letter to you. Qin Feiyang and Lin Haotian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Don't talk nonsense. Another elder hurriedly shouted. What are you afraid of? They're going to die soon. It's okay to let them know. That person was disdainful. That's right. We have so many people. I don't believe that they can escape. Another person nodded in agreement. Qin Feiyang asked, are you the ones who massacred the Ling clan? Bullshit. We are the elders of the Ling family. Will we massacre the Ling family? It was all done by the Jiang family and the Mu family. The city lord has already found out. It's just that the situation in Black Bear City is too chaotic right now, so he didn't announce it. After we kill all of you, we will begin our revenge. We will make the Jiang and Mu families die without any descendants to repay this debt of blood. The 13 of them were filled with killing intent. It really is them. Qin Feiyang mumbled in disdain. I don't know about the Mu clan, but the Jiang clan is backed by the chief pavilion lord of the county of Yan. Would you dare to make a move against the Jiang clan? Those who have nothing to lose are not afraid of those who wear shoes. The Ling clan is already gone. At worst, we'll just fight to the death. Don't waste your breath with him. Maybe he's stalling for time. Attack. The 13 of them sped up at the same time. Their bodies were filled with killing intent, and their eyes were filled with ferocious light. No matter how powerful the enemy is, we can't just sit there and wait for death. Follow me closely. Qin Feiyang let out a low roar and actually took the initiative to meet one of them. Ling Yunfei was shocked and hurriedly followed him. Because there was no other choice now. All of their escape routes had been blocked. They could only desperately tear open an opening. You overestimate yourself. That person sneered. As he approached, he raised his arm and slapped Qin Feiyang. True qi swept in all directions. However, Qin Feiyang did not stop. Instead, he charged even more fiercely. You have a death wish. That person smiled brightly. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang took a step forward, and the palm passed through his chest. At this moment, a cold light flashed in his eyes. He suddenly raised his arm and swung it down with all his might. A white divine light cut through the night sky. That person's right shoulder suddenly spurted blood. The next moment, his entire arm fell from his shoulder and fell to the ground. That person was stunned at first. When the intense pain spread throughout his body, he could not help but howl in pain. taking advantage of the opportunity. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei ran past that person and fled into the forest without looking back. The sudden turn of events caused the other 12 people to be dumbfounded. That person shouted, "What are you doing? Hurry up and chase, be careful of the sharp weapon in his hand." The 12 people suddenly came back to their senses and immediately entered the forest, chasing after Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. Ling Yunfei glanced behind and said in a deep voice, "They are coming. With our speed, they will catch up with us in at most 5 breaths." The two of them used the gathering smoke steps and returning yuan steps. They were as fast as lightning, and their speed had reached the extreme. But compared to a martial ancestor, their speed was comparable to a snail. Qin Feiyang glanced ahead. Although it was a forest, there was no place to hide. What should we do? Can we only hide in the castle? He struggled in his heart. Although he trusted Ling Yunfei a lot now, he still didn't want anyone to know about the ancient castle. Gotcha! Suddenly, the two of them lost their footing, and their bodies fell straight down. It turned out that there was a deep pit here. Because it was night, they could not see the bottom. It should be a trap set by the hunters when they were hunting the beasts. Damn it, why are we so unlucky? Ling Yunfei cursed. They were already at the end of the road, but they did not expect to fall into a trap. For the two of them, it was undoubtedly worse. There is no other way, we can only go to the castle. No. Why is there an echo? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Ling Yunfei's angry curses actually reverberated below and didn't disperse for a long time. If it was just a trap, at most a few meters deep, such a situation would definitely not occur. It was very likely that there was an underground passage down here. Bang bang. The two of them landed at the bottom almost at the same time. It was about a dozen meters deep. Such a height could not cause any damage to them. They are below. Go down. This should be a trap, they can't run away. At the top of the cave, there was a series of words. Following closely. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei felt that someone had jumped down. Is there a match? Qin Feiyang hurriedly said. There was another echo. It was too dark inside, one couldn't even see one's fingers. It was impossible to distinguish north from south. Yes. Ling Yunfei responded and took out a match from his arms. After burning it, the place suddenly lit up. The two of them instantly noticed that there was a round dark hole on the left. It was almost the size of a dustpan. They had to bend down to go in. Looking up, they saw an old man falling down quickly. Quick, quick, quick. Qin Feiyang urged. The two of them bent down and entered the dark hole one after the other. They ran into the depths without looking back. About dozens of meters deep. Ling Yunfei frowned. Jiang Haotian, why do I feel that something is wrong? Qin Feiyang said, I have the same feeling. Dark passages are generally square, but why is this one circular? It doesn't seem to be man-made. Little beast, let's see where you can escape to. At this time, there was a sneer behind them. They didn't need to look back to know that the 12 elders had followed them. They're really haunting us. Ling Yunfei cursed secretly. Do you smell it? There seems to be a fishy smell. Qin Feiyang suddenly said. Fishy smell? Ling Yunfei was stunned. He sniffed hard and frowned, there really is a fishy smell. Qin Feiyang said, I think, we might, what? Ling Yunfei asked. Qin Feiyang swallowed his saliva and said, this is probably a snake cave. Hearing this, Ling Yunfei's hair stood on end. An uncontrollable chill surged in his heart. If this was really a snake cave, one could imagine how long and thick that snake was. Hiss. Suddenly, a hissing sound came from the depths of the dark hole. Qin Feiyang and Jiang Haotian's bodies stiffened and their scalps exploded. If this wasn't a snake cave, what was it? Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. It seemed that something was crawling towards them. There was an unknown giant python in front of them and 12 martial grandmasters behind them. What should they do? They thought that there was a way out, but they didn't expect it to be a dead end. At the same time, the 12 elders of the Ling family also heard the movement. They stopped and looked ahead in surprise. Ling Yunfei suddenly turned around and shouted to the 12 people, "This is a snake cave, get out." Snake cave. A snake cave as big as a dustpan. This snake is at least 1 meter thick. Quick, quick, get out. The 12 people turned pale with fright and hurriedly turned back. If it was outside, they wouldn't be afraid. But here, even walking had to bend down, let alone fighting with the giant python. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Let's go. We can't go out." Qin Feiyang grabbed him. "If we don't go out, we'll die." Ling Yunfei shouted in a low voice. "If you were them, what would you do?" Qin Feiyang asked while looking at the walls on both sides. Ling Yunfei said without hesitation, "If I were them, after leaving the snake cave, I would block the entrance." Speaking of this, Ling Yunfei suddenly realized. That's right. After the 12 people went out, they would definitely block the entrance and not let them leave the snake cave. At that time, he and Qin Feiyang would only be swallowed alive by the giant python. Boom! At this moment, at the entrance of the snake cave, there was a loud explosion. Accompanied by a rumbling sound, the entrance of the cave was tightly blocked. They really did plan to do so. Ling Yunfei's face was pale. Bang! Suddenly, another loud explosion came from the side. Ling Yunfei was shocked and hurriedly looked over. He saw Qin Feiyang punch the wall on the left and a 2 to 3 meter black hole instantly appeared. "What are you doing?" Ling Yunfei was surprised. Qin Feiyang grabbed the fire starter from his hand and said, "Nonsense, of course it's to make a shelter. Go in." Ling Yunfei looked at him suspiciously and hurriedly entered the black hole. Qin Feiyang walked back for a distance, inserted the fire starter into the ground, and then hurriedly entered the dark hole. He bent his waist and poked his head out, looking into the depths of the dark passage. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Are you sure this is a shelter?" "To be exact, this is an ambush point." Qin Feiyang whispered. "Ambush point." Ling Yunfei was shocked. The ground shook more and more violently. "It's coming." Qin Feiyang's eyes focused. A huge snake head came into his sight. It was as big as 2 wash basins. A pair of long and narrow snake eyes, under the weak light, were glowing with a gloomy light. On top of its head, there was a horn as thick as an arm. Single-horn giant python. Qin Feiyang's body and mind tightened. He had seen this kind of giant python in the capital before. It was very terrifying. The venom could kill in an instant. That horn was dozens of times harder than black iron. It was indestructible. Chapter 87. Ling Yunfei poked his head out to take a look and was scared out of his wits. He hurriedly grabbed Qin Feiyang's wrist and said in a low voice, "You're no match for it. Don't be rash. Let go." Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. Although the unicorn python was terrifying, the Chang Shui in his hand was enough to tear apart its defense. Ling Yunfei frowned and let go of his hand. He simply took out a black dagger from his Qinquan bag and waited. "Don't interfere," Qin Feiyang whispered. His voice was so weak that only the two of them could hear it. Boom! Swish! The unicorn python was very fast. The fire starter in front of it attracted its attention. Therefore, when it passed by the deep pit, it did not notice Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. At this moment, Qin Feiyang was like a cheetah. He rushed out of the deep pit like lightning and pounced on the unicorn python's body. His big hand slammed down. The Chang Shui radiated a sharp light. Clang! With sparks flying, it broke through the unicorn python's scales and sank into the python's 7 inches. Hiss! The unicorn python's pupils suddenly hissed. Its huge body rolled crazily in the cave. The snake cave was only the size of a dustpan. The space was too small. Qin Feiyang could not avoid it. He could only hold on to the Chang Shui tightly with one hand and a snake scale with the other, to prevent his body from falling out. Because if he fell down, he would definitely be crushed to death by the unicorn python's huge body. Bang! Bang! The unicorn python rampaged in the cave. The entire snake cave was shaking violently. And some places had already begun to collapse. Even the ground above was experiencing an earthquake. The 12 elders of the Ling family all sneered when they sensed the movement underground. The earthquake lasted for hundreds of breaths before it gradually calmed down. Inside the snake cave, the fire starter had already been extinguished. It was pitch black. Jiang Haotian, where are you? Ling Yunfei's worried voice sounded in the darkness. I'm here. Qin Feiyang's voice sounded, but it was weak and powerless. He had heard of it. Ling Yunfei was even more worried. He hastily reached into his bosom and muttered, "Luckily, there's still a match." He took out a match and blew on it. The place immediately lit up. Looking at the scene in front of him, Ling Yunfei was so shocked that he couldn't speak for a long time. A bloody snake body took up half of the snake cave. The smell of blood was pungent. Both sides of his body were piled with gravel and mud. As a result, the space here became even narrower, making it impossible to walk around. He could only crawl forward. Come and help me. Qin Feiyang's weak voice sounded again. Ling Yunfei quivered. He hastily crouched down. With one hand holding the torch and the other holding the snake's scales, he crawled along the snake's body. There was a lot of gravel in front of him, and it was very difficult for him to climb. Where are you? He couldn't help but ask anxiously when he didn't see Qin Feiyang for a while. Here. Qin Feiyang's voice came from a pile of rocks in front of him. Ling Yunfei quickly crawled over, inserted the torch aside, moved his hands together, moved the rocks, and dug up the mud. After a while, Qin Feiyang appeared in his sight. But at this moment, not only was his face covered with dust, but his body was also covered with cuts and bruises. Although he had been lying on the python's body, as the python rolled, he kept crashing into the walls of the snake cave. If it weren't for his strong willpower, gritting his teeth and persevering, he would have let go and been crushed to death by the python's body. Ling Yunfei reached out to pull him. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, "Don't move. My legs seem to be broken. What should I do?" Ling Yunfei was burning with anxiety when he heard this. Qin Feiyang said, "Move aside. I'll do it myself." Ling Yunfei hurriedly retreated 2 meters. Qin Feiyang grabbed the scales and exerted force with both hands. A heart-wrenching pain suddenly came from his legs, making him break out in a cold sweat. But he gritted his teeth and crawled out with difficulty. At this time, he was already convulsing from the pain. Ling Yunfei hurriedly crawled over, took out a bone-continuing pill and a healing pill, and fed Qin Feiyang. Medicinal pills were powerful. Soon after, the pain began to gradually disappear. Looking at Qin Feiyang with a face full of fear, Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes and said, "This time, you were really too impulsive. It's lucky to be able to keep your life." Impulsive? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "The entrance of the cave is blocked. If we don't kill it, we will be swallowed alive by it sooner or later." Yes, yes, yes. What you said is reasonable. Ling Yunfei said helplessly. However, he sincerely admired Qin Feiyang. At first, when he was ambushed by the Ling family elders, he was almost desperate. But this person was not afraid in the face of danger and took him to tear open a gap. When he fell into the snake cave, he only knew how to curse, but this person calmly judged that there was a secret passage underground. When he encountered the single-horned giant python, his first thought was to escape, but Qin Feiyang launched a counterattack in a short time and successfully killed the giant python. This kind of temperament really left others in the dust. It seems that I still need to sharpen myself. Ling Yunfei secretly muttered and asked, what do we do next? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment, pointed to Chang Shui that was still stuck in the giant python 7 inches, and said, use that dagger to cut off the giant python's horn and then collect the venom. The horn and venom are indeed good treasures, but can your dagger cut off the horn? Ling Yunfei pulled out Chang Shui with a trace of doubt on his face. You will know when you try. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Ling Yunfei climbed onto the snake's head and waved hard. With a clang, the horn was immediately cut off from the root. So sharp. Ling Yunfei was stunned. There was no resistance at all. It felt as easy as cutting off a strand of hair. So he has something to rely on. Only now did he understand that Qin Feiyang was not impulsive, but confident. Then, jumping down from the snake's head, he used a sharp stone to pry open the giant python's bloody mouth, took out a jade bottle, and carefully collected the venom. Qin Feiyang had been paying attention to the changes in Ling Yunfei's expression. He let Ling Yunfei use Chang Shui to test whether Ling Yunfei would be greedy. As a result, Ling Yunfei did not let him down. Although he was very surprised, there was no greed in his expression. After a while, Ling Yunfei climbed over and handed the Chang Shui, the horn, and the venom to Qin Feiyang. After keeping the Chang Shui and the horn in the Qiankuan bag, Qin Feiyang sized up the venom, his eyes flickering. The venom was almost transparent and was more than half a bottle. Don't underestimate this venom. Even a martial grandmaster could be poisoned to death. Suddenly, his eyes flashed coldly as he looked at Ling Yunfei and asked, do you want to kill them? Kill. Ling Yunfei nodded. If today's matter did not happen, he would consider it. After all, they were all his clansmen. It would be too unreasonable to kill them all. But now, it was obvious that they had entered a situation where they would fight to the death. If he was soft-hearted, sooner or later, he would die in the hands of the other party. However, how could he kill them? The other party could be a martial grandmaster. Qin Feiyang said, think of a way to get out first. That's easy. Just blast it open. Ling Yunfei rolled up his sleeves, his fist covered with qi, and was about to punch upwards. Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, no, if they haven't left, they will hear the movement here. Ling Yunfei was stunned. He lowered his arm and frowned, then what should we do? Qin Feiyang thought for a while and said, use a dagger and slowly dig up. Okay. Ling Yunfei nodded. Although the efficiency was not very good, it was indeed the safest way. 2 hours later, the two finally returned to the ground. It was quiet all around. They did not see the 12 clan elders. Obviously, they had left. 2 hours had passed. Qin Feiyang's injuries had not healed, but he could still move. Ling Yunfei glanced at the dark forest and asked, what do we do now? Find them. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly, and said, they can't go to Black Bear City. They must be hiding somewhere nearby. Let's go to the river and find their footprints. Ling Yunfei nodded. Dozens of breaths later, the two quietly came to the edge of the forest and looked towards the river. Through the hazy moonlight, they saw that there was no one by the river, so they walked over. After looking carefully, they soon found the footprints of 13 people. After some confirmation, the two concluded that they followed the river and went downstream. The two followed all the way. 13 people traveling together was a big target. It was easy to distinguish, so they would not lose track. Half an hour later, Qin Feiyang and the other person followed the footprints and entered a dense forest. Soon, in the depths of the forest, they found a valley. The valley was still faintly illuminated by fire. At this moment it was already late at night. The waning moon was in the sky, and the stars were twinkling. In the forest it was dead silent. The two came out of the valley, hid behind a protruding rock, and looked inside. 100 meters away, a bonfire burned brightly, illuminating the entire valley. Above the bonfire, there was a wild boar being roasted. The surface was golden yellow, and oil constantly seeped out from the meat, making sizzling sounds. The fragrance assailed their nostrils. 15 figures sat around the bonfire, drinking and chatting merrily. Sometimes, angry curses could even be heard. Qin Feiyang retracted his gaze, frowning, "It is indeed them, but why are there two more people?" Ling Yunfei said, looking at their clothes, "They seem to be the guards of the city lord's residence." City lord, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, a trace of killing intent in his eyes, and said in a low voice, "It seems that these people cannot be left alive." Ling Yunfei said, "Let's talk about this later. Let's think about how to get rid of them first." Qin Feiyang looked again. The two guards were obviously not weak. Adding on the 13 martial great masters of the Ling family, they could not force them. Suddenly, his heart moved, and he took out the bottle of poison. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei also instantly understood what Qin Feiyang wanted to do, and said in a low voice, "This poison can indeed kill them, but how do we make them drink it?" "I have an idea." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly, and said, "I'll be the bait, and lure them out of the valley. You take the chance to go in and poison them." Ling Yunfei said, "How can that be? It's too risky, let me be the bait." "Don't worry, they can't catch me." Qin Feiyang did not allow any explanation, and directly stuffed the jade bottle into Ling Yunfei's hands, then turned and ran into the forest without looking back. This bastard, he really likes to show off. Chapter 88. Boom. Crack. After a while, loud noises could be heard from the dense forest outside the valley. Thick and strong trees fell down one by one. The noise was so great that it shocked everyone. "What's going on?" The 15 people who were drinking suddenly stood up and looked through the entrance of the valley towards the dense forest. But because it was too dark, they couldn't see anything. The oldest old man shouted, "Old 4, old 5, go and take a look. No matter who it is, kill them directly." "Understood." The two old men nodded and immediately ran towards the entrance of the valley. Not far away, there was a small hill. Qin Feiyang lay in the grass and looked at the entrance of the valley. He frowned when he saw that only 2 people came out. It seemed that this trick didn't work. What else could he do to lure them all out? Right. Am I not the best bait? Qin Feiyang, don't run. He pinched his throat slightly and suddenly roared. What? Qin Feiyang. The 2 old men who came out first rushed towards the forest as if they were injected with chicken blood. At the same time, the eyes of the people in the valley were also shining. "Hurry up, as long as we catch Qin Feiyang, we can not only return to Black Bear City, but also be rewarded by the Lin family of Yen City and King Yen. This is a great opportunity, we can't miss it." Whoosh! More than a dozen people ran out of the valley as if they had taken stimulants. Including the 2 guards. "Sure enough, I'm the most popular one." Seeing everyone running out, Qin Feiyang's lips curled up into a cold smile. Then, he directly entered the ancient castle. When the footsteps were far away, he left the castle and went to meet up with Ling Yunfei. At the same time, Ling Yunfei also quietly slipped into the valley. After pouring the venom into the 15 people's wine jars, he quickly left the valley and hid in his original position. Looking at the dense forest, he couldn't help but worry. Suddenly, a hand appeared behind Ling Yunfei and rested on his shoulder, startling him on the spot. "Don't make a sound, it's me." Qin Feiyang's voice rang out. Ling Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief and asked, "Where are they?" Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "He went to look for Qin Feiyang." Ling Yunfei shook his head and laughed in spite of himself. He said, "Just now, when I saw that only 2 people came out, I thought that the plan would fail. I didn't expect you to be so quick-witted and use Qin Feiyang as bait. How could he have known that the person standing in front of him was Qin Feiyang himself? I just thought of it at the last minute. Now, we'll just wait for them to come back and catch them all in one fell swoop." Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with killing intent. "We chased after it as soon as it roared, but we didn't manage to catch up. How unlucky. It said that Qin Feiyang is only 15 or 16 years old, but isn't his speed too fast? We can't underestimate him. People who are wanted by the royal family are definitely not simple. Although we didn't find him this time, at least we already know that he is near the Black Bear Mountain. As long as he is near here, he can't escape from our hands. That's right. After dawn, we'll go and look for him carefully." Hundreds of breaths passed. The 15 people walked out of the dense forest, talking as they walked towards the valley. After they entered the valley, Qin Feiyang and the other 2 also followed them in without making a sound. They hid behind the rock from the beginning. The 15 people sat down around the bonfire again. After chatting for a while, the oldest old man stood up with a wine jar and said with a smile, "Come, come, let's celebrate. It wasn't easy to kill those 2 little bastards. We should really celebrate. Tomorrow, we'll go to the snake cave, kill that bastard, and dry it into snake jerky to go with wine." The 2 guards also stood up and said with a smile, "Celebrate?" Hiding in the dark, Qin Feiyang in the other person's eyes became extremely cold. The oldest old man laughed and said, "Come, let's drink to our heart's content tonight." The 15 people held their wine jars and gulped down the wine. Crack! The old man whose arm was cut off by Qin Feiyang suddenly trembled. The wine jar in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. "What's wrong? The poison acted up so quickly." Qin Feiyang and the other person were stunned. They originally thought that the poison would only act up after a while. After all, these people were all martial arts grandmasters. But they didn't expect the poison of the single-horned python to be so terrifying. The real reason was that the old man had lost too much blood. His body was weak and his resistance had decreased. That was why the poison acted up so quickly. "Old 8, what's wrong with you?" The other 14 people who didn't know the truth looked at the old man in confusion. "There's something wrong with this wine. Spit it out." Old 8 growled and was the first to lie on the ground. His fingers dug into his throat and he vomited. "What's wrong?" Everyone was puzzled. "There's poison." Old 8 shouted. "What?" The others were shocked. "Ah!" But at this moment, Old 8 screamed and fell to the ground. He was foaming at the mouth and his whole body was twitching non-stop. "That's right. It's a sign of poisoning." The rest of the people turned pale. Bang bang. "Ah!" The 2 guards also fell to the ground at the same time. Their hands were clutching their necks and they were screaming in pain. Their lips were turning black at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was obvious. Their strength was not as strong as the other elders of the Ling family. Now is the time. Hurry up and stop them from taking the antidote pill. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. The two of them rushed out from behind the rock almost at the same time. The scene was a mess. No one noticed them. "Who has the antidote pill? Take it out quickly." The old man roared. "I have," one of the guards shouted with all his strength. The older man rushed over and pulled the qianquan bag tied to the guard's waist. He was about to take out the antidote pill. "Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei. Why are you here?" At this moment, one of the elders noticed Qin Feiyang and Jiang Haotian behind him. He suddenly exclaimed, and his old face was filled with disbelief. "What?" The rest of the people were shocked and turned to look. They were not dead. "Grab the qianquan bag!" Qin Feiyang shouted explosively. He suddenly stomped on the ground and leaped high into the air like an eagle. The older man suddenly realized and shouted, "They are the ones who poisoned us. Hurry up and stop him." There were still 11 people who had not been poisoned. Hearing this, their eyes were filled with killing intent as they leaped up to stop Qin Feiyang. Ah! But they had just jumped up. 10 of them screamed and rolled to the ground. Their bodies were twitching and white foam was coming out of their mouths. It was obvious that the poison was acting up. But one of them was fine. Without a doubt. This person and the older man were the two two-star martial grandmasters that Ling Yunfei mentioned. "Go to hell." He grabbed Qin Feiyang's ankle. Seething with anger, he flung it forcefully. At that moment, Qin Feiyang was like a meteorite. With a bang, he hit a rock beside him. He spat out blood and his ribs were broken on the spot. At the same time, Ling Yunfei took the opportunity to step over the bonfire and pounce on the older man's qianquan bag. "Unfilial son!" The older man roared and slapped Ling Yunfei's left shoulder. Bang! Immediately, Ling Yunfei was sent flying by the slap. He spat out blood and his right shoulder was fractured. His skin was torn and his flesh was badly mutilated. His consciousness was also fainting quickly. "I'll kill you later." The older man smiled and took out a detoxification pill. He was about to consume it. But at this moment, Ling Yunfei gritted his teeth and pounced on the older man. He waved his left hand and slapped the detoxification pill and the qianquan bag away. He then bit the older man's ear. He had actually bitten off the ear. Ah! The pain made the older man's face contort and he howled in pain. Seeing this, the man who seriously injured Qin Feiyang hurriedly ran towards the two of them. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also gritted his teeth and endured the pain. He kicked his legs and pounced on the man, pushing him to the ground. Then he took out the chang shui and stabbed it into the back of the man's head without hesitation. That man died on the spot. "You two damn little bastards, go to hell." The older man roared at the same time. Immediately after, Ling Yunfei was once again sent flying by his slap. He flew several meters away and hit the ground. He immediately closed his eyes. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. "Old thing, I'll kill you." Qin Feiyang's eyes were red. Holding the chang shui, he pounced on the older man like a mad beast. His whole body was full of hostility. Seeing this, the old man ignored Qin Feiyang and ran towards the detoxification pill. But after running a few steps, he staggered and fell to the ground. White foam came out of his mouth. His body also began to twitch. His eyes were full of unwillingness as he struggled to crawl towards the detoxification pill. The detoxification pill was about to be in his hands. However, at this time, Qin Feiyang ran over and grabbed the detoxification pill. "Give it to me, I beg you." The older man immediately begged in despair. But Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear to him. He quickly ran to Ling Yunfei and stuffed the detoxification pill into Ling Yunfei's mouth. Because the single-horned python's poison would seep into the blood. Ling Yunfei had just bitten off the older man's ear and must have swallowed the blood. If he did not take the detoxification pill in time, he would also be poisoned. Immediately after, he hurriedly checked on Ling Yunfei's condition. Fortunately, his heart was not hurt. He was lucky to survive, and now he just fainted. After giving Ling Yunfei the healing pill and bone replenishing pill, Qin Feiyang got up and turned to look at the older man. This person did not give up and crawled towards the Qianquan bag. Qin Feiyang grabbed Chang Shui and walked over step by step. The pain caused by his broken ribs made his killing intent even stronger. The older man heard the footsteps and begged as he crawled, "Please do me a favor and save me." "Save you?" Qin Feiyang sneered and stepped on the Qianquan bag, saying, "A few hours ago, when you killed me and Ling Yunfei, why didn't you show mercy? You want me to save you? Fine, as long as you can crawl over, I'll put the detoxification pill into your mouth." The older man crawled with all his might. But after crawling for a long time, he was still in his original position. He had no strength left, only despair and resentment. Qin Feiyang walked over, looked down at the older man, and said, "Actually, I have to thank you. Otherwise, I really wouldn't have been able to catch all of you in one fell swoop." A trace of doubt appeared in the older man's resentful eyes. Qin Feiyang said, "Do you know what was in the snake cave? There was a single-horned anaconda. I almost lost my life in order to kill it. But thankfully, not only did I succeed in killing it, I even obtained its venom." When the older man heard that, it was too late for regrets as he stuttered, "How, did you, poison us?" Qin Feiyang sneered, "You're not unfamiliar with the name Qin Feiyang, right?" The older man was enlightened. Qin Feiyang continued, "To tell you the truth, I'm actually the Qin Feiyang you're looking for. Jiang Haotian is just a fake name." The elderly man's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. "Can you die in peace now?" Qin Feiyang bent down and grinned, revealing a mouthful of pearly white teeth. With a swing of Chang Shui, a cut appeared on the older man's neck. Blood splattered everywhere, dyeing Qin Feiyang's body red. Chapter 89. The old man died. The others were also poisoned to death. This also meant that the entire army had been wiped out. Qin Feiyang stood up and looked at the corpses around him, but his gaze became colder and colder. These people were at most cannon fodder. The one who really deserved to die was the city lord. He sat by the bonfire, took a healing pill and a bone replenishing pill, looked at the rising flames, and fell into deep thought. As time passed, one breath after another, the bonfire gradually extinguished. The fragrant roasted boar was also burnt. But Qin Feiyang was completely unaware, as if he was an old monk meditating. Gradually, the horizon began to brighten. But there was no sun. The sky was filled with thick clouds, as if a storm was coming, causing people to feel inexplicably depressed. At this time, Ling Yunfei finally woke up, opened his eyes, and looked at the sky in confusion. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly got up. As if facing a great enemy, he vigilantly scanned his surroundings. "Don't be nervous, they're all dead." Qin Feiyang's voice sounded like a reassuring pill. Ling Yunfei immediately heaved a sigh of relief. "It hurts." After relaxing, an intense pain swept over him like a tide, causing him to grimace in pain. Qin Feiyang also restrained his mind, stood up and looked at Ling Yunfei, and said with a faint smile, "Your injuries are too serious, it's best not to do any strenuous activities." Ling Yunfei asked, "What about you?" Qin Feiyang said, "I'm fine." However, his pale face was enough to show that his situation was not optimistic. Ling Yunfei looked at him doubtfully and said in a deep voice, "If the city lord finds out that we are not dead, he will definitely continue to deal with us. Tell me, shouldn't we make the first move? Qin Feiyang shook his head. He is not only the city lord of Black Bear City, but also a genuine war king. How could it be so easy to kill him? Ling Yunfei frowned. This was indeed a difficult problem. Qin Feiyang said, "Let's go, we'll talk about it when we get back." After collecting the Qianquan bags of the 15 people, the two of them left the valley. However, not long after the two of them left, another guard of the city lord's mansion ran towards the valley. With such a good opportunity last night, Jiang Haotian should have already been killed by them. He muttered to himself with a bright smile on his face. However, when he entered the valley and saw the 15 corpses, his smile froze. He hurriedly ran over and examined them carefully. In the end, his expression was filled with shock. They were all dead. Who did it? He glanced around and didn't find anyone else, so he immediately returned home. How is this possible? City Lord's mansion. The city lord suddenly stood up and glared at the guard. His face was filled with disbelief. The guard knelt on the ground and said respectfully, "This subordinate saw it with his own eyes. It's absolutely true. What a joke. 2 9-star martial masters, 11 1-star martial great lords, and 2 2-star martial great lords. With such a lineup, who can kill them? Unless Luo Xiong and the others personally take action." The city lord raged in disbelief. The guard said, "Sir, it can't be Luo Xiong and the others." "What do you mean?" The city lord frowned. The guard said, "They were all poisoned to death. With Luo Xiong's strength, there was no need to poison them. If I'm not wrong, it should be Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei." "Impossible!" the city lord roared. "It can't be wrong, because I found a few sky blue hairs on the body of the Ling family's grand elder. In the entire Black Bear City, only Ling Yunfei's hair is sky blue." The guard said. "You can't even kill 2 little bastards who are still wet behind the ears. What a bunch of useless trash." The city lord was furious. It was not easy to create such a good opportunity, but in the end, it failed. The guard said, "Sir, don't be impatient. According to my observations, Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei must be seriously injured. If we send people to intercept them now, we will definitely be able to kill them halfway." The city lord's heart skipped a beat as he asked, "Are you sure?" "Yes." The guard nodded. The city lord pondered for a moment and nodded, "Okay, you go to the Jiang family and the Mu family now and tell the 2 patriarchs that as long as they can kill Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei, this city lord will pretend not to know about their massacre of the Ling family. The city lord is wise." The guard smiled flatteringly, then bowed and retreated. A lake with a radius of 100 feet, lying in a mountain stream. The scales rippled, incomparably clear. On the shore, Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei stood on a bluestone, washing the blood on their bodies. "Sigh, it's really like a tiger being bullied by a dog." Ling Yunfei sighed deeply, both angry and helpless. Along the way, from time to time, fierce beasts jumped out to block their way. If they were in their peak state, they wouldn't be afraid. However, he was still injured. Especially Ling Yunfei, he couldn't even walk too fast. Fighting with those fierce beasts, he naturally couldn't avoid injuries. Fortunately, both of them had a lot of healing pills. Otherwise, it would be a problem whether they could survive until now. Qin Feiyang glanced at the lake while washing, and said in a deep voice, "Don't be in a hurry to complain, there are probably a lot of water beasts lurking in this lake, be careful." Dong! Hua! Before his voice died away, there was actually a fierce beast rushing out of the water, setting off a few meters high wave. It opened its bloody mouth and bit at the two. That fierce beast was 5 or 6 meters long, covered in dense scales, and 2 rows of saw-like fangs, revealing an unparalleled ferocious aura. Saw-toothed crocodile. Qin Feiyang's face changed, and hurriedly dragged Ling Yunfei and ran towards the jungle behind them. Bang! The saw-toothed crocodile missed and fell to the ground, shaking the earth. Immediately, its four limbs moved, making a rumbling sound, chasing after Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. Its speed was not slower than the two of them. Moreover, wherever it passed, the rocks and trees in front of it were directly knocked away. It was incomparably powerful. Why are we so unlucky to encounter such a monster? Ling Yunfei was so angry that he cursed. The saw-toothed crocodile and the black-scale crocodile were social creatures. But the degree of terror was far beyond that of the black-scale crocodile. Not only were its scales hard and hard to break, its fangs could easily bite through steel. Most importantly, it was an amphibious creature. Judging from the speed of this saw-toothed crocodile, it was at least an 8-star martial master. Qin Feiyang could only use the smoke-gathering steps to be on par with its speed. Roar! When the two of them ran to the side of a big tree, the withered branches and rotten leaves 3 meters in front of them suddenly opened, and another saw-toothed crocodile swooped out, fiercely biting at the two of them. Heartlock killing fist. Qin Feiyang's eyes were cold as he punched. Bang! The saw-toothed crocodile was blown away on the spot, and its heart was instantly shattered. You also know the heartlock killing fist. Ling Yunfei was stunned. However, he immediately realized that he had asked a very stupid question. His heartlock killing fist was taught by this person. As the master of the killing fist, how could Qin Feiyang not know it? Don't talk nonsense. Pay attention to the surroundings carefully. There could be saw-toothed crocodiles lurking anywhere. Qin Feiyang shouted in a low voice. The two of them continued to flee. Roar! When the saw-toothed crocodile behind them saw that its companion had been killed, it immediately raised its head and roared sorrowfully. Roar! Boom! Crash! This time, it was as if they had poked a hornet's nest. In the lake behind them, saw-toothed crocodiles kept jumping out of the water. Under the withered leaves in the forest, in the grass, and in the bushes, saw-toothed crocodiles of different sizes kept rushing out. It was almost in the blink of an eye. There were no less than 50 saw-toothed crocodiles around Qin Feiyang and his companion. In the distance, there were groups of saw-toothed crocodiles surging towards them, crushing everything in their path. The sound of the rumbling was deafening. Seeing this scene, even with Qin Feiyang's temperament, he could not help but shudder with fear. He said, "It seems that we have unfortunately broken into the nest of saw-toothed crocodiles." Ling Yunfei glanced around and shouted, "There are fewer saw-toothed crocodiles on the right. Let's break through from the right." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded. At the moment of life and death, the two of them did not care about their injuries and attacked with all their might. They were about to escape from the encirclement. Roar! Boom! But at this moment, a short mountain in front of them suddenly collapsed. A 10-meter-long saw-toothed crocodile rushed out of the dust. Its huge body crushed everything in its way, and its roar shook the heavens and the earth. Those big trees that could only be hugged by 3 or 4 people were bitten off by it. They were like dead wood. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang and his companion immediately turned around and fled for their lives. Because the size of the saw-toothed crocodile would constantly increase with the increase of its cultivation. In other words, the bigger the size, the stronger the strength. And this saw-toothed crocodile was 10 meters long. It definitely had the battle strength of a martial ancestor. However, after running for a few steps, another 10-meter-long saw-toothed crocodile appeared in front of them. At the same time, on the left, on the right, there was another one. Their length was more than 10 meters. They were like small mountains, fierce and impressive. A total of 4 martial ancestor-level beasts made Qin Feiyang and his companion dumbfounded on the spot. In addition to these 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles, there were hundreds of martial master-level saw-toothed crocodiles. How could they escape? Roar! 2 7-meter-long saw-toothed crocodiles rushed over. Heart-lock killing fist. Qin Feiyang and his companion growled at the same time and punched with all their strength. After killing the 2 saw-toothed crocodiles, Ling Yunfei shouted, "What do we do now? Besides killing our way out, what else can we do?" Qin Feiyang's eyes were gloomy. He decisively took out the Chang Shui and rushed to the left. If they wanted to escape, they could only avoid the 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles. Chang Shui was invincible and easily tore through the scales of the saw-toothed crocodiles. With the help of perfect martial arts, the 2 of them killed their way forward. They were invincible. Roar! The 2 king saw-toothed crocodiles on the left and the front roared. Their 2 giant tails were raised high and fiercely slapped towards Qin Feiyang and his companion. "No, we can't kill our way out." Qin Feiyang's face sank. He didn't dare to stay any longer. He grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. Boom! The 2 giant tails fell and the ground cracked on the spot. Roar! Seeing the 2 humans disappear into thin air, the 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles roared in anger. Their giant tails crazily smashed the ground here. After a while, the place was fragmented and dust covered the sky and the sun. At the same time, hundreds of meters away, more than 20 people stood on top of a mountain and looked in the direction of the lake. Their eyes were full of surprise. The leaders were 2 old men. Both of them had white hair and white beards, but their faces were ruddy and hale. The 2 of them were the grand elders of the Mu clan and the Jiang clan. The others were also martial ancestor experts of the 2 clans. The grand elder of the Jiang clan suddenly withdrew his gaze and turned to a middle-aged man beside him. He ordered, "Jiang Sen, go and see what happened over there. If it's Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei, don't alert them." Chapter 90. Inside the castle. Qin Feiyang swallowed the healing pill and listened carefully to the movements outside. Ling Yunfei, on the other hand, looked around suspiciously. A moment later. Only then did he come back to his senses. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked, "What is this place? How did we get in?" This reaction was exactly the same as when Qin Feiyang first entered the castle. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly, and said, "You just need to know that it's safe to hide here. Don't ask anything else. This guy is even more mysterious than I imagined." Ling Yunfei muttered to himself. This was simply too magical. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed that there was such a place in the world. About a few hundred breaths passed. The rumbling outside finally stopped. Following closely, the sound of footsteps could be heard as they gradually disappeared into the distance. Ling Yunfei asked, "Have they left?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Ling Yunfei asked again, "When are we going out?" After pondering for a moment, Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "There must be some sawtooth crocodiles hiding here. It's best to recuperate first before going out." "All right." Ling Yunfei nodded. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he said, "Oh right, in a month, the people from the Martial Imperial Hall will come to Black Bear City. At that time, I'm afraid we'll have to separate." There was a deep sense of reluctance in his tone. Although they hadn't known each other for long, in Ling Yunfei's heart, Qin Feiyang was his first friend in his life. Therefore, he cherished it very much. Martial Imperial Hall. Ling Yunfei was slightly startled, and laughed, "No, because in a month, the people from the Danwang Hall will also come. At that time, maybe we can even go to Yen City together." "Is that so?" "That's great." Ling Yunfei was immediately overjoyed. "Hee, hurry up and recuperate." Qin Feiyang smiled. He didn't want to waste any more time. He walked to the iron box and opened it with a drop of blood. He opened the book and continued to copy the fourth stroke. Ling Yunfei's face was full of suspicion as he witnessed this scene. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said, "There's nothing to see. Quickly focus on recuperating from your injuries. While you're at it, refine the energy-gathering pills and cultivate." "Oh." Ling Yunfei responded but did not leave. He stood at the side, wanting to say something but hesitated. What happened? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. With a red face, Ling Yunfei looked at him awkwardly and asked, "Do you have any extra qi-gathering pills?" "My qi-amassing elixirs are all in the martial arts hall's cultivation room." "Ugh." Qin Feiyang was stunned. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Don't worry. I don't lack energy-gathering pills now. When I go back, I'll immediately pay you back in double." Qin Feiyang's face twitched. He was speechless and said, "I'm not worried that you can't pay me back. I just don't understand. Why did you put the energy-gathering pills in the cultivation room? Shouldn't you carry the resources for cultivation with you?" "I wanted to, but the hall master didn't allow it." Ling Yunfei's face was full of helplessness. "Why?" Qin Feiyang was even more puzzled. "The hall master was worried that I would give them away privately," Ling Yunfei said. Qin Feiyang was stunned. There was actually such a thing in the world. Ling Yunfei smiled and said, "In fact, it's okay. Other disciples can only get a few hundred energy-gathering pills every month. If it's not enough, they have to earn it themselves. But I can get as many as I want." Hearing this, Qin Feiyang started to feel envious. Because in this way, Ling Yunfei only needed to focus on cultivation. He didn't need to worry about resources at all. Unlike the Dan Hall, where he had to find the ingredients himself. "Take these energy-gathering pills and use them." He took out a qiankuan pouch and threw it to Ling Yunfei. There were at least 20 to 30,000 energy-gathering pills in it. So many. Ling Yunfei caught it in his hand and looked at it. He was instantly dumbfounded. "Don't worry. It's for you. You don't have to return it." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He turned back to look at the iron book and continued to copy. "He's really generous." Ling Yunfei shook his head and murmured. This person must have a strong background behind him. He didn't know that a few months ago, Qin Feiyang was still living a poor life. A dozen gold coins was a huge fortune for him. It wasn't out of Qin Feiyang's expectation. Some of the saw-toothed crocodiles outside returned to the lake and sank to the bottom. Some of them continued to hide in the forest. On the surface, this place looked extremely peaceful. There was no danger at all. However, as long as one walked into this area, no matter who it was, they would fall into a desperate situation. Jiang Sen was a very unlucky person. He was ordered to investigate the situation. However, when he arrived, other than the desolated land, he didn't even see a shadow. However, when he entered the attack range of the saw-toothed crocodiles, the hidden saw-toothed crocodiles jumped out and pounced on him. The 4 king saw-toothed crocodiles also appeared immediately. Although he had the cultivation of a 1-star martial ancestor, he still paid the price of an arm to escape from this area. Similarly, Qin Feiyang also heard the commotion outside. Although he didn't know if they were coming for him, at least he knew that there were other people in this mountain range. Moreover, they were quite strong. Time passed quickly. The next morning, Qin Feiyang closed the iron book and turned to look at Ling Yunfei. He warned, "After we go out, don't stop at all. Quickly leave this area." "Yes." Ling Yunfei nodded. In fact, their injuries had already healed last night. However, in the face of the saw-toothed crocodiles who were good at camouflage and hiding, it was obviously not realistic to break out at night. Therefore, the two of them chose to break out during the day. Today was also a cloudy day. Phew! Qin Feiyang kept taking deep breaths. Although he was mentally prepared, he still couldn't help but feel nervous. After a few breaths, he let out a long breath, grabbed Ling Yunfei and instantly appeared outside. Whoosh! The two of them didn't stop at all. They used the smoke-gathering steps and the essence-gathering steps and rushed in the direction of Black Bear City. Roar! A series of deafening roars could be heard. The four king saw-toothed crocodiles appeared again, but on the left and right sides of Qin Feiyang. In front, there were only some ordinary saw-toothed crocodiles blocking the way. But even so, they still couldn't be careless. Because the speed of the saw-toothed crocodiles was much faster than them. If they delayed a little, they would be caught up. Clang! Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui. Ling Yunfei used the heart-lock killing fist, and every move was fatal. The two of them seemed to have transformed into human-shaped Tyrannosaurus Rex. They cooperated perfectly and crazily killed a bloody path. However, such a wanton slaughter completely enraged the four saw-toothed crocodiles. With an astonishing murderous aura, they led hundreds of crocodiles and chased after them. Wherever they passed, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked, leaving behind a mess. Hundreds of meters away, they could feel the earthquake. Why is there a sudden earthquake? Could it be a beast tide? The people of the Jiang and Mu families were still looking for Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei nearby. When they heard the movement, they were very surprised. Let's go and take a look. The grand elder of the Jiang family waved his hand and more than 20 people immediately ran over. It's the saw-toothed crocodiles. When he saw the crocodiles, Jiang Sen's face suddenly turned pale. Why are the saw-toothed crocodiles out in full force? Everyone was puzzled. Look, isn't that Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei? Someone suddenly exclaimed. The rest of the people looked over and immediately saw Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei in front of the crocodiles. It's really them. So, the crocodiles' riot yesterday must be because of them? It's unbelievable that they dared to provoke these beasts. What do we do now? We don't have to do anything. We just have to watch because sooner or later, they will be torn apart by the crocodiles. More than 20 people stood side by side on a small hill with their hands crossed in front of their chests. Their faces were full of schadenfreude. While escaping, Ling Yunfei suddenly noticed them. His pupils shrank and he said in a low voice, "Why are they here?" Qin Feiyang looked over and frowned. Could it be that the people who appeared yesterday were them? His eyes flashed and he said in a low voice, "Let's go over." Okay. Ling Yunfei nodded. The two of them turned abruptly and ran toward the people from the Jiang and Mu families. Seniors, hurry up and act according to the plan. Let's catch them all in one fell swoop. Qin Feiyang shouted anxiously as he ran. What plan? Why don't I know? Ling Yunfei was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. The people from the Jiang and Mu families were also puzzled. Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and do it. Otherwise, Ling Yunfei and I will die. Are you planning to leave us in the lurch? Don't forget that you asked me and Ling Yunfei to lure them here. You can't do this. At most, I won't take any of the gold coins after killing them. I only beg you to save me. Qin Feiyang kept shouting. The people from the Jiang and Mu families were even more puzzled. Was there something wrong with this little beast's brain? However, they didn't realize that the eyes of the four king sawtooth crocodiles had already locked onto them. Their huge eyes flashed with a frightening light. Seniors, please help us. Although Ling Yunfei didn't know what was going on, he was very cooperative and asked the 20 people for help. His tone and expression were very sincere. Help? The people from the Jiang and Mu families sneered. Jiang Sen was extremely scared. He urged, Grand Elder, the strength of the four king sawtooth crocodiles is unfathomable. Let's go. The Grand Elder of the Jiang family didn't give the order. He turned to the Grand Elder of the Mu family. The Grand Elder of the Mu family said, "Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. All right, let's retreat." The Grand Elder of the Jiang family waved his hand. The 20 people immediately turned around and ran into the forest, quickly disappearing. Just as they turned around, Qin Feiyang grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. However, the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles didn't stop chasing. They led a group of their little brothers and chased after the Jiang and Mu families. "Ha! Where are Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei?" The Grand Elder of the Mu family looked back and suddenly turned pale with fright. Weren't the 2 of them just now? How could they suddenly disappear into thin air? The others looked back and were also very surprised. Something's not right. They're gone. Shouldn't the crocodiles have stopped? Why are they still running here now? Not good, the crocodiles are coming for us. I understand. Jiang Haotian said those strange words just now to mislead the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles. They must think that we're with Jiang Haotian now. This little bastard is really scheming. Retreat. Chapter 91. Behind the group of crocodiles, Qin Feiyang and Mu Haotian appeared out of thin air again. Hearing the angry curses coming from afar, Ling Yunfei laughed mischievously. He gave Qin Feiyang a thumbs up and said, "This move of yours is truly ruthless. It's impossible not to admire it." Qin Feiyang grinned and said, "Now it's our turn to watch the show. Let's go." The 2 of them stepped forward and followed behind. "We can't keep running like this. Let's attack and kill them all. Okay, let's end this quickly." After running for a while, the people from the Jiang and Mu families made up their minds and turned to attack the group of crocodiles. A fierce battle quickly unfolded in the forest. "Jiang Haotian, who do you think will win this battle?" "It should be the Jiang and Mu families. After all, they are both martial arts ancestors." "That makes sense. Although the 4 king-level sawtooth crocodiles have unparalleled battle power, the other king-level sawtooth crocodiles can only be used as cannon fodder when facing martial arts ancestors." "That's right. But we can be sure that the Jiang and Mu families will suffer heavy casualties in the end." A few hundred meters away, Qin Feiyang and Mu Haotian sat comfortably on a small hill. They looked at the battlefield in the distance and commented. After watching for a while, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and asked, "Do you have wine with you?" "Yes." Ling Yunfei nodded and asked suspiciously, "I thought you don't drink?" Qin Feiyang smiled evilly. "The situation is different. When we are doing business, we can't drink. But now we are watching a show. It's more interesting to have wine." "That makes sense." Ling Yunfei nodded and took out 2 palm-sized wine jars from his chinquan bag. He threw one to Qin Feiyang and kept the other for himself. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and opened the wine jar. He shouted at the people from the Jiang and Mu families, "Seniors, quickly kill them. I will treat you to wine later." Eh? Ling Yunfei was stunned. Was he trying to make them angry? But it was quite interesting. He also picked up the wine jug, raised his head and took a big gulp. He roared, "Refreshing, this is too refreshing. Uncles, if you're tired, come and have a drink. Only when you're full will you be motivated." The people from the Jiang and Mu clans looked at the 2 of them and were instantly enraged. They were fighting with their lives on the line, but those 2 little bastards were leisurely drinking wine. Who was the culprit who provoked the crocodiles? If this could be tolerated, what could not be tolerated? The 2 black-clothed men rushed towards the 2 of them, carrying a monstrous rage. But at this moment, a king saw-toothed crocodile suddenly raised its huge tail and slammed it towards the 2 of them. Ah! Following a miserable cry, the 2 lost their lives, smashed into a bloody paste. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other in disbelief. Who would have thought that this king sawtooth crocodile would be able to grasp the opportunity? Not only was it ferocious, but it was also so smart. The people from the Jiang and Mu clans would definitely suffer a great loss this time. Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth and said regretfully, "Seniors, I know you like to drink, but there's no need to be so anxious. Look, if you're not careful, you'll die. For a mouthful of wine, is it worth it?" Ling Yunfei sighed, "It's not worth it. Don't be so anxious, okay? We won't drink it all. We'll leave some for you." Bastard! The two of them echoed each other, causing the people from the two clans to explode with anger. Sawtoothed crocodile, listen to this old man, we're not with them. Every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. If you want to settle the score, you should look for them. The great elder of the Jiang and Mu clans roared in exasperation. They had been in Black Bear City for so many years, but they had never been so aggrieved like today. The four king sawtoothed crocodiles roared again and again, crazily bombarding them. However, there were also a small number of sawtoothed crocodiles that turned around and charged towards Qin Feiyang. However, as long as the king sawtoothed crocodiles did not attack, the two of them had the ability to easily deal with them. The fierce battle continued. The land within a radius of hundreds of meters was mercilessly destroyed. Blood converged into a stream, gurgling and flowing. The smell of blood was pungent. Broken corpses and broken arms were scattered all over the mountains. This place had become an azure hell. A few hundred breaths passed. Of the hundreds of sawtoothed crocodiles, only a few dozen were left, and the others were covered in wounds. Including the four king sawtoothed crocodiles. More than half of the people from the Jiang and Mu clans were injured or dead. But overall, the Jiang and Mu clans had the absolute advantage. Seeing this situation, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said, "Let's go." And Ling Yunfei nodded. Roar! Two sawtoothed crocodiles pounced over. The two of them used the heart-lock killing fist to quickly finish them off and were ready to turn around and leave. But at this moment, the four king sawtoothed crocodiles roared at the same time, shaking the mountains and rivers. Roar! Following closely. Another particularly loud beast roar suddenly exploded in the direction of the lake, shaking the sky, as if responding to the four king sawtoothed crocodiles. Hearing the beast roar, Qin Feiyang and the Jiang and Mu clans were all surprised. Then, the earth trembled, making a loud bang. Could there be more sawtoothed crocodiles? Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder looked at each other, and a trace of horror crept up in their eyes. Listening to this movement, if it was really a sawtoothed crocodile, it was probably more terrifying than the four king sawtoothed crocodiles. "Let's go and see," Qin Feiyang roared. The two of them sped towards the lake at full speed. Running to die. What a pair of ignorant little bastards. Seeing this, the Grand Elder of the Mu clan could not help but sneer. If it was really an existence more terrifying than the four king sawtoothed crocodiles, running there was simply courting death. "Don't worry about them, let's retreat," the Grand Elder of the Jiang clan shouted. However, the four king sawtoothed crocodiles and dozens of ordinary sawtoothed crocodiles, at this moment, were crazily entangled with them, even disregarding their own lives. This abnormal change made the Jiang and Mu clans even more uneasy and anxious. On the other side, Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder of the Mu clan were running, and a huge monster suddenly entered their sight. It was actually a sawtoothed crocodile. But its size was twice as big as the four king sawtoothed crocodiles. A short mountain of dozens of meters was actually blown away by it. Such a terrifying power was simply appalling. Without a doubt, this sawtoothed crocodile was the real king of the crocodile group. Qin Feiyang did not dare to hesitate at all, and led Ling Yunfei into the castle. The saw-toothed crocodile king was tyrannical and boundless, as if a peerless beast was born, no matter what was in front of it, it was trampled. After it left, Qin Feiyang and the Grand Elder of the Mu clan appeared again, and looking at the huge back, they could not help but feel their scalps tingle. Ling Yunfei swallowed his saliva and asked, "Do you want to go and take a look? If you want to die, go by yourself, don't drag me along." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. The saw-toothed crocodile king was definitely not to be trifled with. Moreover, after it finished off the Jiang and Mu clans, it would definitely come for them. So the most important thing now was not to watch the show, but to escape. But with the saw-toothed crocodile king in front of them, they had to change their route. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, "Let's go back the way we came and follow the river back to Black Bear City." "That's the only way," Ling Yunfei said helplessly. A moment later, the two of them came to the lake again. The saw-toothed crocodiles came out in full force, so now, this place was safer than any other place. They stood on top of a hill with their hands on their knees. They scanned the lake below and gasped for breath. The lake did not change, but the lake shore had been trampled beyond recognition by the crocodile group. On the left shore, there was a big pit more than 10 meters deep. If he guessed correctly, that big pit should be the place where the saw-toothed crocodile king was hiding. "Fortunately, we didn't pass by that place in the beginning, otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable." Ling Yunfei looked at the big pit and said with a lingering fear. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, stood up straight, and said, "Don't stay any longer, let's go quickly." Although there was no saw-toothed crocodile, when he thought of the experience of the past few days, he couldn't wait to leave this place immediately. "Actually, we shouldn't have taken a detour." Ling Yunfei was a little angry. He thought that this road was very safe, but in the end, he almost lost his life. It was not worth it. "Stop complaining, let's go." Qin Feiyang urged and turned to leave. Ling Yunfei was about to follow. But suddenly, he seemed to have discovered something, and his gaze fell on the big pit again. In the big pit, there were some black things, but they were covered by the soil and were somewhat difficult to distinguish. Ling Yunfei's eyes had a trace of surprise, and said, "Jiang Haotian, look at what that is." Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned, turned around and walked to Ling Yunfei's side. Looking along, he couldn't tell what it was. "Let's go and take a look," Ling Yunfei asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them jumped down and walked over carefully. Although it was calm on the surface, who knew if there was any hidden danger? Therefore, it was better to be cautious. After arriving at the big pit, seeing that there was no danger, the two of them jumped into the big pit and looked at the black thing. It looked a little like iron. But their feeling told them that it was not iron. Qin Feiyang reached out and knocked hard, and it actually made a metal-like sound. Could it really be an unknown divine iron? If so, then this time, they had picked up a treasure. The two of them worked hard to dig the soil, and soon they were sweating profusely. But when the black thing was completely revealed, the two of them wanted to cry but had no tears. They even had an impulse to curse. This was not divine iron at all, but the old shell of the jagged-toothed crocodile king. "Bastard, I was happy for nothing." Ling Yunfei was furious. He grabbed the old shell and threw it out of the big pit. With a thud, it fell into the lake. Although the old shell was very hard, it was useless. "How can there be so many treasures in the world? Let's go." Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. He glanced at the pit and was about to jump up. However, that glance made his body and mind tremble. He hurriedly looked down and immediately saw a small tree in the soil. The strange thing was that the small tree was only a finger tall, and it was red all over. There were no branches on the trunk, only 3 fingernail-sized leaves, like clusters of flames. Although the small tree was small, it was full of spirituality. At first glance, one could tell that it was not an ordinary thing. Why does it look a little familiar? Ling Yunfei looked at the small tree, full of surprise. This is the red glass tree. Chapter 92. Red Fire Glass Tree. Hearing this name, Ling Yunfei's body and mind were also shocked. This thing. It could only be described as a treasure. Because, the leaves of the red fire glass tree were the main medicinal ingredients for refining the red fire glass pill. The red fire glass pill had a very amazing magical effect. Any warrior below the war king, as long as they took a red fire glass pill, their cultivation realm would instantly increase by 1 step. For example, if Qin Feiyang took one now, he would immediately break through to a 5-star martial master. Who wouldn't be tempted by such a magical effect? It was no exaggeration to say that once the news of the birth of this red fire glass tree spread out, it would definitely set off a bloody storm in Black Bear City. However, nothing could be perfect. Everyone could only take one red fire glass pill in their life. If they took a second one, it would lose its effect and it would be a waste. But even so, it was enough to make anyone go crazy. Qin Feiyang squatted beside the small tree. His eyes were shining brightly. They never thought that they would encounter such a treasure. It was really hard to say what happened in life. If it weren't for Ling Yunfei, who threw the old shell of the Sawtooth Crocodile King out in anger, they would definitely have brushed past this small tree. No one would have thought that such a treasure was hidden under this old shell. Roar! A loud and clear roar of a beast was heard. The Sawtooth Crocodile King was back. The two were surprised. Ling Yunfei hurriedly said, "Pull it out quickly, let's retreat." Qin Feiyang grabbed the trunk, uprooted it, and kept it in his Qinquan bag. Immediately, the two jumped out of the pit and ran towards the forest without looking back. Bang! Accompanied by a series of rumbling sounds, the Sawtooth Crocodile King returned with the 4 king sawtooth crocodiles. But when it returned to the pit, it found that the red fire glass tree did not fall. It immediately flew into a rage and roared. Hearing the roar, Qin Feiyang was so scared that they broke out in cold sweat. They were afraid that the Sawtooth Crocodile King would chase after them, so they fled for their lives. The two of them didn't stop until they reached the river. Without a care for his image, he sat down on the ground, sweating profusely and panting like a cow. "Do you think the people from the Jiang and Mu families are all dead?" Ling Yunfei asked. "Is there even a need to ask? Not a single one will be left," Qin Feiyang said. "Although we were ambushed, it was worth it to get a red fire glass tree." Ling Yunfei laughed. "Indeed." Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile on his face. In the end, the person they should thank was the city lord. If he hadn't schemed to harm them, how could they have obtained this treasure? As the saying goes, one should know how to repay kindness. In the future, he would surely repay this person properly. Who? Ling Yunfei let out a long sigh. He moved closer to Qin Feiyang and asked, "When we go back, who do you plan to ask to help you refine the red fire glass pill?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and said speechlessly, "I know how to refine pills myself. Why do I need other people's help? Moreover, do you think that other people will help you for free? Naive. If he really asked other people to help him, he would definitely get a share. It wasn't worth it." "You?" Ling Yunfei looked at him with a doubtful face. Obviously, he didn't believe that Qin Feiyang could refine pills. "What's wrong with me?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Ling Yunfei said with disdain, "You've only been in the pill hall for a month. I guess you can't even refine the body-tempering pill, let alone the red fire glass pill. Don't waste the leaves of the red fire glass tree." Qin Feiyang's face twitched. So in this guy's eyes, he was so unbearable. Fine. He didn't want to talk nonsense. He would use his actions to prove it. Ling Yunfei laughed and said, "Don't be angry. Brother, I'm just stating facts." "Oh right, I have something to ask you." "What?" Qin Feiyang said. Ling Yunfei asked curiously, "Who refined the supreme-grade pills that Fatso sold last time?" "I don't know." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Ling Yunfei said, "You really don't know, or are you just pretending?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "Then if I tell you that I refined them, would you believe me?" "I'd be a fool if I believed you." Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes. He had never seen such a narcissistic person. He stood up and said, "I haven't gone back for a few days. Mother must be worried about me. Let's go back." "I don't plan to go back." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said. "Don't want to go back? Then where are you going?" Ling Yunfei was stunned and looked at him doubtfully. "If we go back now, when the city lord finds out that we're not dead, he will definitely find ways to deal with us. Instead of suffering this, it's better to hide and meditate for a month. When the people from the Danwang Hall come, we can go back." Qin Feiyang said. He didn't have so much time to waste on insignificant people. "It seems to make sense, but if I don't go back, my mother," Ling Yunfei hesitated for a moment, gritted his teeth and said, "Forget it. When we go back, we'll slowly apologize to her." Next, the two hid in the castle and began to meditate. The Serpentine Crocodile King was still in the mountains, causing chaos in the area of thousands of meters. Anyone who hunted in the vicinity would suffer an unexpected calamity. Finally, it couldn't find the thief who stole the red glass tree. It had no choice but to give up and return to its nest. Late at night, two one-armed old men covered in blood and scars appeared outside the gate of Black Bear City. They were the grand elders of the Mu clan and the Jiang clan. Out of more than 20 people, only the two of them escaped. The others all died under the Serpentine Crocodile King. Although they were lucky enough to escape, they lost an arm. This time, they were ordered to go into the mountains to kill Qin Feiyang. It could be said that the Jiang and Mu clans suffered a double loss. The appearance of the two didn't cause any commotion. The two guards guarding the city led them to the city lord's mansion. Seeing the two's miserable state, the city lord was shocked, but he was most concerned about Qin Feiyang's life. The two also vowed that Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei were dead. Because at that time, they saw with their own eyes that Qin Feiyang ran in the direction of the Serpentine Crocodile King. After that, they didn't see the two again. It was enough to say that the two were eaten alive by the Serpentine Crocodile King. Although he didn't see the bodies, the city lord was convinced. Because the two's strength was not bad, it was impossible for them to fail. And he firmly believed that the two dared not lie in front of him. The next day, a notice appeared at the 4 city gates. The content was that the real culprit who massacred the Ling clan had been executed and died in prison. It asked everyone to stop talking about this matter. However, it didn't announce who the real culprit was. As for what the real culprit looked like, no one knew. Some people who doubted it only dared to talk about it in private. But once the notice was out, the matter of the Ling clan being massacred was finally settled. Black Bear City also gradually calmed down. But it was only on the surface. In the dark, all the clans were fighting in full swing. But the fights between the clans happened every day. As long as it didn't cause too much of a commotion, no one would care. Time passed day by day. After not seeing Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei for a long time, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master started to feel uneasy. On this day, the martial arts hall master came to the pill hall personally to discuss countermeasures with Luo Xiong. After eliminating all possibilities, the two of them personally led people to search the entire city. After searching the city, they went outside the city. But in the end, the two forces turned the area upside down and still couldn't find Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei. This time, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master couldn't help but suspect that the two of them might have died somewhere. They might even have been killed by a traitor. But without any evidence, they didn't dare to ask anyone. They could only send people to investigate openly and secretly, hoping to find some clues. But until the people from the martial arts hall and the Danwang hall came to Black Bear City, there was still no news. In the Pill Hall's guest hall, Luo Xiong was supposed to be sitting on the main seat at the top. But now, a purple-clothed youth was sitting there. He was about 25 or 26 years old. His figure was tall and straight. He was elegant and gentle. There was also an amiable smile on his extraordinarily handsome face. This person was from the Danwang Hall. He was in charge of the assessment this time. But now, only Elder Mo was attending to him. Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng were nowhere to be seen. A moment later, the purple-clothed youth put down his teacup and turned to look at Elder Mo. He asked with a smile, "Elder Mo, it's been an hour. Why isn't Hall Master Luo here yet? If he's busy, we might as well not disturb him. Just go and get the name list and give it to me." This, Elder Mo hesitated for a moment and asked, "Should I go and take a look?" "That's good too. Go and come back quickly." The purple-clothed youth nodded and smiled. Elder Mo got up and quickly went to Luo Xiong's courtyard. Without knocking, he barged in. Luo Xiong and Feng Cheng were sitting on the stone bench in the courtyard. Their faces were gloomy and they were silent. The atmosphere here was especially heavy. Elder Mo strode over and frowned. "What are you still sitting here for? That Lin Chen is about to lose his patience. And the name list for tomorrow's assessment, have you decided?" Feng Cheng said angrily, "We haven't even found Jiang Haotian. What name list is there? If we can't find Jiang Haotian in this lifetime, are we going to drag it out like this forever? I admit that Jiang Haotian's talent in alchemy is unparalleled. However, we can't break the rules because of him. We can't delay the future of other disciples because of him. You are all leaders of the Pill Hall. Do you still need me to remind you of this?" Elder Mo shouted. Feng Cheng glared at Elder Mo. Luo Xiong was still silent. Sigh. After a long while, Luo Xiong sighed softly and said, "Old Feng, there's still no news of Jiang Haotian. He must be dead. Let's just pretend that there's no such person." Feng Cheng shook his head and said, "No. He's such a smart kid. How can he die outside? I don't believe it." Luo Xiong pondered for a while and nodded. "All right. Go and look for him again. If you can't find him by tomorrow morning, I can only give the name list to Cheng Yi." Elder Mo frowned and said, "Hall Master, Lin Chen wants the name list now." Luo Xiong waved his hand and said, "It's fine. I'll go and talk to him. I'll give him the name list tomorrow. I believe he'll still give us this face." "Old Mo, you go with Old Feng." "Yes." Elder Mo nodded. Luo Xiong stood up and walked out of the courtyard. He walked towards the guest hall in big strides. He was frowning along the way. "Bastard kid. When I find you, I'll skin you alive." In the courtyard. Chapter 93. Qin Feiyang didn't know what the three big shots of the Pill Palace were thinking. But he had already come out of seclusion and was on his way back to Black Bear City. After a month of seclusion, the fourth stroke of the Huan character formula had been successfully copied. At the same time, he had also become a 5-star martial master. As for Ling Yunfei, although he didn't break through to 6-star martial master, he wasn't far from it. But when he saw Qin Feiyang's cultivation method, the shock in his heart couldn't be described with words. Copying a stroke could actually increase one's cultivation. It was simply a miracle. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. In short, in his eyes, Qin Feiyang was an out-and-out monster. No matter what strange things happened, he wouldn't find it strange. The two of them walked along the river as fast as lightning. The beasts and water beasts they encountered weren't very strong and were quickly dealt with by them. Half an hour later, they came to the place where they were ambushed that night. A woo! Bang! Bang! Just as they were about to cross the river, a wolf howl came from the forest behind them. At the same time, there were also sounds of fighting. Qin Feiyang's body stiffened, and he suddenly turned his head to look at the forest. Why was there a wolf howl? Could it be Wolf King? Ling Yunfei also turned to look in that direction and frowned. I remember that the snake cave is over there, right? Let's go and take a look. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, activated the Luo Yen steps, and rushed forward. Huh, beast, let's see how you escape today. When we catch you, Qin Feiyang will definitely come to save you. At that time, we will set a trap and catch all of you in one fell swoop. After a while, too loud laughter came from the depths of the forest. The sound of fighting also stopped abruptly. It was enough to show that the battle was over. But when Qin Feiyang heard this, his body suddenly trembled. It was indeed Wolf King. And listening to these words, its current situation was very bad. No matter who you are, you will all die today. His eyes burst out a bone-piercing killing intent. Even Ling Yunfei, who was next to him, could feel it clearly. In front, 300 meters away, Wolf King lay on the ground, covered in wounds and dripping with blood. That was not all. Its 4 legs were also broken. Lying in a pool of blood, he was unable to move. However, its eyes were staring straight ahead, filled with ruthlessness. There were 2 young men in luxurious robes. One of them was Mu Fei. The 2 of them looked at Wolf King and laughed heartily. The other person was holding a wooden stick that was as thick as an arm. The wooden stick was also covered in blood. Obviously, Wolf King's 4 legs were broken by this person with this wooden stick. Mu Fei picked up a thick branch and poked Wolf King. Seeing that he was motionless, he immediately gave him a thumbs up and complimented him. Big brother, you are really amazing. You got rid of this beast so quickly. Mu Yang raised his head and said proudly, isn't that obvious? I, your big brother, am a 6-star martial master. Isn't it easy to deal with a wolf cub? Yes, 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 with your ability, not to mention this beast, even if Qin Feiyang sees you, he will definitely be scared to the point of peeing his pants on the spot. Mu Fei nodded again and again. Mu Yang laughed and said, Big brother likes to hear this. We brothers are lucky today. It's rare for us to come out, but we encountered it. When we bring it back, Father will definitely be very happy. Of course. But we can't give this beast to the city lord. Because he will take our credit. We will directly hand it over to Master Lin Liang. In this way, our Mu family can be considered to have a relationship with Yen City's Lin family. At that time, we will have a meteoric rise. Mu Fei said. That makes sense. Mu Yang nodded, patted Mu Fei's head, and laughed. I didn't expect your brain to work so well. Mu Fei rubbed his head and laughed. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold. He looked at Wolf King and said, Big brother, last time I suffered a big loss at the hands of Qin Feiyang and this beast. Can you let me teach it a lesson first? Mu Yang said, up to you, as long as you don't kill it. Mu Fei was overjoyed. He glanced around and picked up a branch as thick as a thumb. Pa! He waved his hand and whipped Wolf King's body. Wolf cub, weren't you very arrogant last time? Not only did you steal the blissful flower, you also robbed me of all the gold coins. If you have the ability, stand up now and meet up with this young master. Hurry up, what are you still lying there for? Come on, you damned beast. He cursed while cursing. At the same time, he crazily whipped Wolf King. This scene was just seen by Qin Feiyang, who had rushed over. Suddenly, his anger was monstrous, and his killing intent soared to the sky. Without a word, the true qi in his palm surged towards the two of them. Jiang Haotian. Ling Yunfei. Hearing the commotion, Mu Fei and Mu Yang turned around and their expressions suddenly changed. Didn't they say that the two of them had been killed? Why did they suddenly appear here now? To hell with it. Mu Fei hurriedly threw away the branch and hid behind Mu Yang. Even if he's not dead, he's just a 4-star martial master. What's there to be afraid of? Mu Yang glared at Mu Fei and calmed himself down. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and sneered, to be able to escape from the Sawtooth Crocodile King, I have to say that you're really lucky. Qin Feiyang turned a deaf ear, and his face was extremely cold. Seeing this, Mu Yang's eyes also surged with a strong killing intent. Since they were not dead, he might as well finish them off here. Reckless Ox Fist. He threw away the wooden stick in his hand and took a step towards Qin Feiyang. As he approached, his true qi gushed out and he threw a punch. Wind Thunder Palm. Qin Feiyang let out a low roar. His arm shot out explosively and slapped towards Mu Yang's fist. Bang! After the first exchange, both of them retreated. 6-star martial master. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Mu Yang had only used a superior martial technique, Reckless Ox Fist. Mu Yang's Wind Thunder Palm was a perfect martial technique. In addition to his cultivation as a 5-star martial master, his palm had the strength of 9 barbarian elephants. However, Mu Yang was able to tie with him. This was enough to prove that he was a 6-star martial master. Compared to Qin Feiyang, Mu Yang was even more shocked. After stabilizing his body, he stared at Qin Feiyang and said in a low voice, "What's your cultivation? You only need to know that it's enough to kill you." Qin Feiyang smiled coldly. His killing intent was bone-chilling. Bang! He took a step forward, and the ground shook. When he took another step, his speed suddenly skyrocketed. Shifting smoke steps. His current speed was 4 times faster than before. Even if Mu Yang's strength was on par with his, he was confident that he could kill him in a second. What a fast speed! Mu Fei, take that wolf and run. Mu Yang's face changed greatly. He roared at Mu Fei and threw a punch at Qin Feiyang with all his strength. At the same time, Mu Fei quivered and turned to run toward Wolf King. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Ling Yunfei, stop him." However, Ling Yunfei acted as if he didn't hear anything. He looked at Wolf King and Qin Feiyang in surprise. He cared so much about that wolf. Could it be that Jiang Haotian was Qin Feiyang? Damn it! Qin Feiyang cursed and roared, "White-eyed wolf, stand up if you don't want to die." At the same time as he roared, he used the shifting smoke steps and dodged Mu Yang's punch. He took out the Chang Shui and stabbed Mu Yang's right leg. Blood suddenly spurted out. Ah! Mu Yang knelt on the ground on the spot and screamed. At the same time, Mu Fei stretched out his hand and grabbed Wolf King's tail. "This pain, this injury, it's nothing. I can't let little Qin Zi look down on me." Wolf King roared in his heart and suddenly got up. Where the limbs were broken, the bone spurs instantly tore through the flesh and blood, piercing through the fur. Blood spurted out. The pain almost suffocated him and he almost fainted. But he didn't fall. There was no scream. It suddenly turned around and pounced on Mu Fei, biting off Mu Fei's throat in one bite. Bang bang. Then one man and one wolf both rolled on the ground. Mu Fei died on the spot with his eyes wide open. Wolf King's consciousness was also swallowed by the darkness. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang took out the Chang Shui and hurriedly ran toward Wolf King. Mu Yang took the opportunity to escape toward Black Bear City without looking back. Ling Yunfei next to him was still indifferent. Looking at the man and the wolf, his face was full of disbelief. After Qin Feiyang came to Wolf King's side, he took out a large number of healing pills and bone-replenishing pills and stuffed them all into Wolf King's mouth. White-eyed wolf, please don't let anything happen to you, he was burning with anxiety. Looking at the dying Wolf King, his eyes were filled with tears, blurring his vision. Don't worry, your brother Wolf is bigger than Daifuku, I won't die. Wolf King grinned and fainted on the spot, unconscious. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He hurriedly stretched out his finger and put it in front of Wolf King's nostrils. It was breathing. He was still worried. His hand was gently placed on Wolf King's lower abdomen. There was a heartbeat. Phew! At this time, Qin Feiyang heaved a sigh of relief. With a wave of his hand, he kept Wolf King into the castle. He got up and glanced at Ling Yunfei, walked to the wooden stick, bent down, grabbed it, and chased after Mu Yang. Mu Yang's thigh was stabbed and he was limping. He was not even half of his usual speed. Therefore, in less than 10 breaths, Qin Feiyang caught up. Bastard, how dare you bully White-Eyed Wolf, I'll cripple you. With a furious roar, he swung his staff at Yi Zichen. Crack! Mu Yang's left leg was broken on the spot. He fell to the ground and ate a mouthful of mud. I'll treat you the same way you treated Wolf King. No, I'll pay you back double. Qin Feiyang walked up, his whole body was overflowing with hostility. He swung the stick again and broke Mu Yang's other leg. Ah, Mu Yang screamed. The severe pain had already distorted his facial features. Do you know pain now? Qin Feiyang waved his arm and the wooden stick fell, breaking Mu Yang's left hand again. Just kill me. Mu Yang roared hysterically. Kill you? How can it be so easy? I want you to taste the feeling of living a life worse than death. Qin Feiyang was seething with anger. When he thought of Wolf King's miserable state, he wished he could pierce through the sky. Crack! The stick fell and Mu Yang's right hand was also broken. At this moment, he was completely desperate. The person in front of him was a devil. He would never let him go. Qin Feiyang squatted on the ground, opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of white teeth, and asked with a smile, where should I hit next? Can you give me a suggestion? Looking at Qin Feiyang's expression, Mu Yang suddenly couldn't help but feel cold all over. Chapter 94. After torturing him for so long, it's time for you to vent your anger. Just give him a quick death. Ling Yunfei walked over and persuaded. Does it have anything to do with you? Qin Feiyang asked without turning his head. It has nothing to do with you. Ling Yunfei shook his head. Since it has nothing to do with you, then don't bother. Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice. He stood up and swung the wooden club at Mu Yang's head. But at this moment, Ling Yunfei grabbed Qin Feiyang's wrist. What do you want to do? Qin Feiyang abruptly turned his head and looked at Ling Yunfei. A cold light flickered in his eyes. He humiliated me before. I want to kill him with my own hands. Ling Yunfei said. He patted his Qinkuan bag and a dagger appeared. He grabbed the dagger and turned around. With a wave of his hand, he slit Mu Yang's throat. Mu Yang's eyes widened in anger. He seemed to want to say something, but before he could say anything, he fell to the ground and died. How satisfying. Ling Yunfei smiled and wiped the blood off the dagger. He turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang. Just as he turned around, Qin Feiyang grabbed his clothes and said sternly, Do you think I'm a fool? If you think you can soar to the sky after entering the martial arts hall, then let me tell you, you are gravely mistaken. Ling Yunfei said, I think you misunderstood. I really don't mean anything else. Qin Feiyang sneered, is that so? Then why didn't you do anything when I asked you to stop Mu Fei? If this is the so-called killing sword, what's the use of it? Ling Yunfei's body trembled. An inexplicable panic rose in his heart. He stammered, at that time, I was, thinking, Qin Feiyang said, thinking if I'm Qin Feiyang. Ling Yunfei nodded. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips in ridicule and said, then I'll tell you right now. I'm Qin Feiyang. Jiang Haotian is Qin Feiyang. In the distance, a cry of surprise sounded. Qin Feiyang suddenly turned his head and shouted, who is it? Come out. A young man in black rushed out from a bush and ran towards Black Bear City without looking back. Qin Feiyang didn't chase after him. He let go of Ling Yunfei and said expressionlessly, now prove to me whether you are a sword or not. Ling Yunfei did not hesitate and chased after that person without saying a word. A short while later. A blood-curdling scream rang out from the distant forest. Ling Yunfei quickly returned to Qin Feiyang's side and said respectfully, it's been taken care of, but there's still a group of people in the distance. It seems to be Jiang Wei and his gang of scoundrels. Qin Feiyang said, do you know? If you had hesitated just now, I would have killed you on the spot. Although Ling Yunfei was also a 5-star martial master and had mastered a perfect martial skill, Qin Feiyang still had absolute confidence in killing him. Ling Yunfei's pupils shrank and said, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about your true identity, including my mother. That better be the case. Qin Feiyang glanced at him and said, let's go and see what Jiang Wei and the others are doing. Ling Yunfei nodded and hurriedly led the way. After knowing Qin Feiyang's true identity, he could no longer be as casual as before. In his heart, there was a fear that could not be dispelled. A moment later, Qin Feiyang stood behind a bush and looked ahead. A few hundred meters away, a group of people was rushing over. It was indeed Jiang Wei. The others were all unfamiliar faces. But looking at their clothes and behavior, one could tell that they were a group of hedonistic sons. Ling Yunfei explained, apart from Jiang Wei, the rest are also disciples of small families in Black Bear City. Do you want to kill them? Jiang Wei, Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered as he shook his head and said, in the past, Luo Qingzhu and her mother helped me many times in Iron Ox Town. As long as Jiang Wei doesn't provoke me again, don't touch him. So, they also know your true identity? Ling Yunfei was surprised. Don't worry, they are more reliable than you. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Ling Yunfei had a bitter smile on his face. He was obviously mocking him. Ghost. When Jiang Wei and his group ran over and saw Qin Feiyang, they were immediately scared and fled in panic. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Mu Fei and Jiang Wei were like this before, and now Jiang Wei and his group were like this too. Could it be that after not returning for a month, everyone thought that he and Ling Feiyang were dead? No. At first, Mu Yan seemed to have mentioned the Sawtooth Crocodile King. The people who knew about the Sawtooth Crocodile King, apart from him and Ling Yunfei, were only the 20 people from the Jiang and Mu families. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said, go and capture Jiang Wei. Finished. Ling Yunfei was like a cheetah, rushing out explosively. In a few breaths, he grabbed Jiang Wei and returned to Qin Feiyang. Behave yourself. He shouted coldly and threw Jiang Wei at Qin Feiyang's feet. Jiang Wei immediately got up and went to Qin Feiyang. He smiled and said, Brother Haotian, long time no see. How have you been? Qin Feiyang quickly took 2 steps back, goosebumps all over his body. He said, answer me a few questions and I will let you go. Jiang Wei said unhappily, what are you talking about? You are my brother. Not to mention a few questions, even dozens or hundreds of questions are not a problem. Qin Feiyang's face twitched and said, "You came here in groups, what do you want to do?" This, Jiang Wei's face changed and hesitated. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "Ling Yunfei, drag him and bury him. Remember, bury him alive." Jiang Wei's face turned white and hurriedly said, I'll talk, it's because of Mu Fei. Earlier, I received news that Mu Fei came here to find a birthday gift for his father, so I brought a group of brothers and wanted to teach him a lesson, but I didn't expect to meet you. No, it's big brother, big brother. Jiang Wei waved his hand again and again, looking at Qin Feiyang with a look of horror. In his heart, he was calling himself unlucky. When he goes out in the future, he must first look at the auspicious date. Birthday. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed slightly and asked, "What is the date of Lord Mu's birthday?" "Tomorrow." Jiang Wei said. "Then I have to prepare a big gift for him." Qin Feiyang's mouth rose, pursing a smirk. Seeing this look, Ling Yunfei knew that this person must be up to something. Jiang Wei didn't understand, nor was he in the mood to look, he just wanted to deal with it quickly and get away from this evil star. Qin Feiyang secretly sneered and asked, "A month ago, did anyone from your Jiang clan and Mu clan go back alive?" Jiang Wei was stunned. Suddenly, as if thinking of something, his expression changed slightly. He wondered, what happened a month ago? Qin Feiyang shouted, "Drag him and bury him." Ling Yunfei grabbed Jiang Wei's clothes and dragged him to the side. Don't do it, we can talk about it," Jiang Wei hurriedly roared, his face was pale. Qin Feiyang asked, "Do you want to talk now? Tell me." Jiang Wei nodded again and again. Qin Feiyang looked at Ling Yunfei and motioned to let go of him. After Ling Yunfei let go, Jiang Wei sat directly on the ground and wailed on the spot. His face instantly turned into a pig liver color. "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyang was shocked. Ling Yunfei looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Let's make it clear, I didn't plot against him." Then he looked down at Jiang Wei again and frowned, "What are you howling for?" Jiang Wei roared and twitched. He seemed to be in a lot of pain and anxiousness, unable to say a complete sentence for a long time. Ling Yunfei said angrily, "What the hell is going on, can't you explain it all at once?" "I was burst." "Chrysanthemum," Jiang Wei roared, his face almost distorted. "Burst chrysanthemum?" Qin Feiyang and Jiang Wei were stunned. Pfft. The next moment, Ling Yunfei burst out laughing on the spot. Qin Feiyang also tried his best to hold back his laughter, his face flushed red. Jiang Wei endured the pain and said angrily, "Hurry up and help me. How can you still laugh? Are you still human?" Cough. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and stretched out his hand. Jiang Wei immediately grabbed it. Then Qin Feiyang exerted a bit of force and pulled Jiang Wei up. Ling Yunfei glanced at Jiang Wei's pants and asked in confusion, "Your pants are not even broken, how could it be?" Jiang Wei said angrily, "Nonsense, do I look like I'm pretending?" Ling Yunfei was dumbfounded. He looked at the ground and laughed so hard that he rocked back and forth. It turned out that there was a sharp stone on the ground. When Jiang Wei sat down just now, he might have been sitting on this stone and hit a certain part of his body. With such a small probability, he was still able to encounter it. His luck was truly heaven-defying. "What are you laughing at? Haven't you seen it before?" Jiang Wei roared, rubbing his butt with all his might, gritting his teeth. "To be honest, this is the first time I've seen it." Ling Yunfei's face turned solemn as he answered seriously. Then, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Bastard, even you are bullying me." Jiang Wei gritted his teeth and kicked the stone away with all his might, venting the anger in his heart. Ouch! Suddenly, a painful cry came from not far away. The three of them looked at each other. It couldn't be such a coincidence, right? There really was such a coincidence. A woman in tight clothes rubbed her head and ran out of the forest in front. She was wearing an exquisite white mask. Although her face couldn't be seen, her legs were long and slender, and her figure was exquisite. There wasn't any excess fat on her body, so it was possible to tell that she wasn't old. The masked woman walked over and glanced at the three of them, asking, "Were you the ones who threw that stone? I can tolerate being bullied by Jiang Haotian. After all, he is stronger than me. But now, a woman actually wants to bully me. If a tiger doesn't show its might, do you think I'm a sick cat?" Jiang Wei was furious. He took a step forward and looked up at the masked woman in disdain. "I threw it. What do you want?" "What do I want? I want you to eat mud." The masked woman's tone turned cold. She took a step forward and appeared behind Jiang Wei at lightning speed. Following closely, she kicked Jiang Wei's calf. Jiang Wei cried out in surprise and knelt on the ground. Then, she raised her leg again and kicked Jiang Wei's back. Jiang Wei immediately fell flat on his face and fell to the ground, his mouth full of mud. So fast. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei's pupils constricted. Their gazes were fixed on the masked woman the entire time and had never shifted. But earlier on, they didn't notice how the masked woman appeared behind Jiang Wei at all. It felt like teleportation. Chapter 95. Moreover, when subduing Jiang Wei, the whole process was done in one go without the slightest sloppiness. At a glance, one could tell that this masked woman was not simple. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other and secretly became vigilant. Jiang Wei was now suffering in silence, unable to voice out his bitterness. He thought that he could use this opportunity to regain some dignity, but he never thought that this woman was the real tigress. What day was it today? Why was he so unlucky? "Kid, apologize to this great aunt." The masked woman stepped on Jiang Wei's back and said valiantly. "Woo." Jiang Wei wanted to apologize, but his face was so close to the ground that he couldn't open his mouth at all. "Miss, how can he apologize to you like this?" Qin Feiyang gave a friendly reminder, but in return, he got a fierce look. The masked woman glared at him and loosened her foot. Pay. Jiang Wei spat out the mud in his mouth and hurriedly said, "Great aunt, I'm sorry, please spare me." "Humph, the next time you offend me, this great aunt will cripple you." The masked woman snorted coldly and kicked Jiang Wei again. Only then did she stop, but she turned around and stared at Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei, saying, "Are you with him?" Ling Yunfei hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, we just met him by chance." "Is that so?" The masked woman looked at the two suspiciously, her eyes a little unfriendly. "They're right in front, follow me quickly." Suddenly, a loud shout rang out. N. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and looked in the direction of the sound. Not long after, accompanied by a burst of messy footsteps, the group of playboys who had escaped before came back. However, behind them, there were a few familiar faces. It was the great clan elder and patriarch of the Jiang and Mu families. They really didn't die. Qin Feiyang's pupils contracted. Now, there was no need to ask Jiang Wei anymore. The doubts in his heart had already been answered. At the same time, as soon as the grand elders of the Jiang and Mu families saw Qin Feiyang, a cold light flashed in the depths of their eyes. Sensing the two's strange phenomenon, Patriarch Jiang hurriedly said in a low voice, "The two little bastards still don't know that we are here to kill them. Don't alert them." Hearing this, the two of them quickly concealed the coldness in their eyes. But secretly, he was already accumulating power and waiting for action. "Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, so you're here. I thought you were all killed by the Sawtooth Crocodile King. Those who survive a great disaster are destined for good fortune. Hurry up and come back with us." Everyone is very worried about you. The four of them laughed as they walked towards Qin Feiyang and the other man. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. Since when did the Jiang and Mu families treat him so kindly? Something was wrong. Last time, the appearance of the Grand Elder and the others near the crocodiles was definitely not a coincidence. Suddenly, he felt an inexplicable sense of panic. An uneasy premonition swept through his heart like a tide. Run! After shouting at Ling Yunfei, Qin Feiyang turned around and began to flee. Ling Yunfei was stunned for a moment and instantly understood Qin Feiyang's meaning. He hurriedly turned around and followed behind Qin Feiyang, fleeing into the depths of the forest without looking back. We've been discovered. The patriarch and grand elder of the Jiang and Mu family's eyes suddenly sank. Why are you running? We won't hurt you. I admit that we used to have some conflicts with you, but now we've thought it through. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Yeah, more friends, more paths. The four of them hurriedly chased after them, constantly explaining and comforting. Boss Jiang, are you all right? A group of profligate disciples surrounded Jiang Wei. When they saw him covered in dirt, they were all bewildered. Jiang Wei Ao said, I'm the invincible little overlord of Black Bear City. How could something happen to me? The ones who are in trouble now are Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei. These two bastards should be cut into pieces. Then who's she? The group of people looked at the masked woman with suspicion in their eyes. Jiang Wei's pupils suddenly shrank, and he said in a low voice, Don't provoke her. She's a tigress. The masked woman looked at him unkindly. That, great aunt, don't misunderstand, I'm not talking about you. Jiang Wei hurriedly waved his hand and explained while retreating. Large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He was extremely nervous. But the masked woman didn't flip out. She raised her head and looked at the direction where Qin Feiyang and the others disappeared. With a trace of doubt, she turned around and walked towards Black Bear City. Strange, who is this woman? Why haven't I seen her in Black Bear City? But looking at her back, she seems a little familiar. Jiang Wei looked at the masked woman's back, his eyes filled with doubt. The masked woman pondered as she walked out of the forest. Black Bear City immediately came into her sight. She stopped and raised her head to look at the city in front of her. Her face under the mask was full of smiles. Grandfather, I'm back. How are you? After muttering to herself, she quickly ran into Black Bear City and went straight to the pill hall. The pill hall is an important place. Do not trespass. However, she was stopped by the two deacon elders of the pill hall on the way. The masked woman politely bowed to the two elders, cupped her hands and said, Elders, this junior would like to see Elder Feng Cheng and Elder Feng. Would you please inform them? See Elder Feng. The two of them were stunned. One of them asked, Are you very close to Elder Feng? The masked woman swallowed her words back. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a trace of slyness. She shook her head and said, Not very close. The deacon elder said, Since you're not close, then come back at night. Because Elder Feng is not in the pill hall now. Not in the pill hall. Then where is he? The masked woman was slightly stunned and asked. We don't know either. But he will definitely come back at night. You can go somewhere else first. The two deacon elders said. Their attitude was still quite friendly. Then, sorry to disturb you. The masked woman bowed with a trace of disappointment in her eyes. Then, she turned around and left the pill hall. I wonder if Elder Feng and Elder Emo can find Jiang Haotian. If they can't find him, then this kid might really be dead somewhere. But I don't understand. Why does the palace master value this Jiang Haotian so much? The two deacon elders gathered together and discussed softly. At the same time, outside the city, in the forest, the chase was still ongoing. No matter what the Jiang family head and the other three said, Qin Feiyang and the other two ignored them. They only cared about running away. Seeing that the two of them were so stubborn, the four of them gradually lost their patience. The Mu family head said furiously, "Today, don't even think about returning to Black Bear City alive." The fox's tail was finally revealed. Qin Feiyang sneered, "You're all hypocrites. Why do you have to pretend to be a good person? You're still so stubborn when you're about to die. How stupid. What you should do now is not to run away, but to kneel down and beg for mercy. If we're in a good mood, maybe we'll let you live." The four of them laughed again and again. The distance was constantly narrowing. The four of them were all martial arts masters. With the speed of Qin Feiyang and the other two, how could they escape? Ling Yunfei looked at the four people behind him and whispered, "Qin Feiyang, they have made up their minds to kill us. We have to think of a way as soon as possible." "I know." Qin Feiyang scanned the front, looking for a place to hide. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a group of rocks dozens of meters ahead. Suddenly, a plan came to his mind. The two of them were as fast as lightning and quickly ran into the group of rocks. The Jiang family head and the other three also chased in the next moment after they entered the group of rocks. But when they chased in, they were shocked to find that the two of them had disappeared. What's going on? Where are they? Could it be that these two little beasts can go up to the sky and into the earth? Destroy this place. We have to find them even if we have to dig 3 feet into the ground. Otherwise, the city lord will not give us a good fruit to eat. Bang bang bang. Boom. Crack. The four of them were furious. Their true chi surged and crazily bombarded the group of rocks. The sound shook the sky. Dust and smoke covered the sky and the sun. In a short while, this place was razed to the ground. But when the dust cleared, not even a shadow of a ghost was seen. The four of them looked gloomy. "What should we do?" The Mu family head said. "What else can we do? The two little beasts are like with wings. We definitely can't find them. Let's just wait for them and squat near the 4 city gates. As soon as they appear, we will quickly kill them." The Mu family head said. "That's a good idea. Even if they don't appear, it doesn't matter. As long as we can stop them from entering the Danwang Hall and the Martial King Hall, there is nothing to worry about. There will be plenty of ways to kill them in the future." The Jiang family head nodded. The Jiang family head said in a deep voice, "Then we will act separately. Remember, we must not let them sneak into the city." The four of them immediately turned around and rushed toward the Black Bear City. Soon, Qin Feiyang and the other two appeared out of thin air. Their faces were very ugly. Blocking the 4 city gates is tantamount to cutting off all their escape routes. These people really deserve to be punished. Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and asked, "Qin Feiyang, do you have any illusion pills on you?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "No, but even with the illusion pills, it is not easy to sneak into the city. The two families and the city lord's mansion have joined forces to block them. Entering the city is more difficult than ascending to the sky." Ling Yunfei suddenly became angry and shouted, "Bastard, sooner or later I will catch them all in one net, especially that bullshit city lord. If I don't kill him, I will not be satisfied." Qin Feiyang said, "We will talk about this later. Let's split up and see if we can find a chance to survive. We will meet here later." Ling Yunfei nodded. The two of them ran around the Black Bear City. As a result, they found that not only the city gates were heavily guarded, but even the city walls were also heavily guarded. Not to mention a person, even a fly would not be able to fly in. If this goes on, how are we going to go to the Danwang Hall and the Martial Imperial Hall? Ling Yunfei was extremely vexed. Suddenly, his eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "Not long ago, other than the Jiang and Mu families, there were many people who saw us. They will definitely spread the news. When the Hall Master and Luo Xiong receive the news, they should come to save us, right? Qin Feiyang sneered, don't be so naive. Once the city lord gives the order, who would dare to say anything? Ling Yunfei's heart sank. The current situation was even more serious than he had imagined. However, it's not like there's no turning point. Qin Feiyang suddenly spoke again. What turning point? Ling Yunfei hurriedly looked at him, his eyes full of anticipation. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he said, go to Black Bear Mountain and find the Black Bear King. Find the Black Bear King. Chapter 96. Qin Feiyang and Chang Shui cut through all obstacles and only arrived at the deepest part of the Black Bear King late at night. Tonight. There was no moon or stars. Dark clouds covered the sky. The air was a little stuffy. The surroundings were also pitch black. Senior Bear King, where are you? If you hear us, respond to us. The two of them could only hold torches and shout as they walked in the forest. Although they had some dealings with the Black Bear King, they did not know the location of the Black Bear King's lair. Wolf King knew, but he was unconscious at the moment and did not know when he would wake up, so they could only slowly search by themselves. This damned weather is really unbearable. Ling Yunfei walked in front, holding a dagger. As he cleared the path, he muttered, looking rather irritated. Qin Feiyang looked at the sky and said worriedly, it should rain later. If we can't find the Black Bear King before it rains, we'll be in big trouble. If it was just a light rain, the impact would not be great. But if it was a rainstorm, the traces of the Black Bear King's activities would be washed away. At that time, it would undoubtedly be more difficult to find the Black Bear King. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang noticed that a black shadow rushed out from the grass in front of them. Be careful. He hurriedly pushed Ling Yunfei away, grabbed Chang Shui with his left hand, and swung at the black shadow. Squeak. At that moment, blood suddenly appeared. A strange sound rang out. A palm-sized scorpion fell on the grass at Qin Feiyang's feet, its body already cut in half by Chang Shui. Killer scorpion. Ling Yunfei's eyes widened as he scanned the surroundings, not daring to be distracted. The appearance of the killer scorpion meant that there were definitely other poisonous insects lurking nearby. Although these poisonous creatures did not look very eye-catching, they were all cold-blooded killers who killed without blinking. Rustle. Whatever he thought of came. The surrounding weeds began to sway violently. When the two of them focused their gazes, their scalps immediately exploded and their faces turned pale. Not only were there groups of killer scorpions, but there were also fist-sized poisonous frogs, palm-sized poisonous spiders, meter-long poisonous snakes, and so on. All of them were poisonous creatures that struck fear in people's hearts. A nest of poisonous insects? Qin Feiyang's face twitched. A few days ago, they had accidentally barged into the nest of the crocodiles. Now, they had entered the nest of the poisonous insects. Wasn't their luck too heaven-defying? Ling Yunfei said, it's the light of the fire that attracted them. Quickly put out the fire. Don't, we'll only die faster. Qin Feiyang hurriedly stopped Ling Yunfei. Once the torches were extinguished, their vision went dark. When the poisonous insects swarmed them, they had no way to fight back. But now, even if there were torches and they could see them, it seemed that only death awaited them. Because there were simply too many of them. Even if they had 3 heads and 6 arms, they wouldn't be able to kill all of them. Whoosh! Those poisonous creatures gradually approached, and when they were within the attack range, they rushed out and pounced on the two of them. This scene was enough to make anyone tremble in fear. Qin Feiyang didn't dare to hesitate. He hurriedly brought Ling Yunfei and hid in the castle. What should we do now? The two of them were burning with anxiety. They were surrounded by poisonous insects. They didn't dare to go out. If they couldn't go out, how could they find the Black Bear King? Phew! Qin Feiyang took a few deep breaths, trying to calm down his anxious heart. Let's wait for a while. If they can't find us, they should leave. At the same time. Outside the pill hall. Why isn't Grandpa back yet? The masked lady sat alone on the stone stairs. She supported her chin with both hands and looked at the street in front of her. Her eyes were filled with doubts. Duh. Nobody knew how long had passed. A series of steady footsteps could be heard. The masked lady was happy. She hurriedly ran to the street and looked to the left. Immediately, he saw two old men walking over with large strides. They were Feng Cheng and Elder Mo. But at this moment, the two of them were more frustrated than anyone else. They had searched every corner of the city carefully, but there was still no news of Qin Feiyang. Until now. They couldn't help but believe that this kid might have really been assassinated. But seeing the two of them, the masked lady was overjoyed. She quickly ran over and stopped in front of the two of them. She cupped her hands and said, "Greetings, Elder Feng and Elder Mo, get lost." Feng Cheng shouted. He didn't even look at her. He lowered his head and walked past the masked lady. This made the masked lady a little stunned. Elder Mo glanced at Feng Cheng and smiled helplessly. He asked, "Little girl, what's the matter?" The masked lady realized that she didn't know what to say. She was straightforward. She took off her mask. "It's you." After seeing the lady's face, Elder Mo instantly exclaimed. He hurriedly shouted at Feng Cheng, "Old Feng, quickly come and see who she is." "I'm not in the mood," Feng Cheng said without turning his head. Elder Mo's face darkened. He scolded, "You old bastard, you don't even recognize your granddaughter." "Granddaughter?" Feng Cheng was stunned. He hurriedly turned around and looked at the masked lady. He was instantly overjoyed. He quickly walked in front of the lady and said, "Little girl, when did you come back? Why didn't you inform Grandpa in advance? Grandpa could have gone to pick you up. I just wanted to give you a surprise. But you actually ignored me. I'm so sad." The masked lady felt wronged. Feng Cheng smiled with a doting face and said, Yes. It's Grandpa's fault. Grandpa will apologize to you." "But why are you wearing a mask?" The masked lady went up and hugged Feng Cheng's old arm. She giggled and said, "Isn't it because your granddaughter is born beautiful? She's always being pestered by people, so I can only wear a mask to cover myself." Feng Cheng was speechless. He scolded with a smile, "Little girl, when did you learn to be narcissistic? But this is good too. It can save a lot of trouble." The masked lady giggled. She asked curiously, "Grandpa, Elder Mo, I saw that you were frowning just now. Did you encounter something troubling you?" Elder Mo sighed, "It's a long story." Feng Cheng said, "Little girl, you don't know. This time, a good seedling came to our pill hall. Unfortunately, her whereabouts are still unknown." "Good seedling?" The masked lady was stunned. She understood the temper of the two old men in front of her very well. Ordinary people couldn't enter their eyes at all. She asked curiously, "Is he more powerful than Cheng Yi?" "Him?" Feng Cheng said disdainfully, "In front of that stinking brat, Cheng Yi is not even worth a fart." "Is it that exaggerated?" The masked lady was shocked. "It's not exaggerated at all." Elder Mo shook his head. The masked lady asked, "Then who is he? Since you value him so much, he must be very famous." Elder Mo said, "His name is Jiang Haotian. He just came to Black Bear City not long ago." "Wait." The masked lady reached out her hand. Her beautiful eyebrows were tightly knitted. "What's wrong?" The two looked at her, puzzled. The masked lady said, "Is it a young man who is about 15 or 16 years old, wearing sackcloth and looking like a scholar?" "Yes, it's him." "Little girl, how did you know?" The two were surprised. The masked lady said, "When I came back, I met him in the forest outside. There seemed to be a blue-haired, blue-eyed person beside him. It was Ling Yunfei. They didn't die." The two looked at each other. They were so excited that their bodies were trembling. The masked lady said again, "But at that time, the Jiang and Mu clans' patriarchs and grand elders were chasing after them. Do you know the reason?" "What?" Damn it, damn it." Immediately, the two's expression changed, and they cursed angrily. "Old Mo, go and inform the Hall Master and the Martial Arts Hall Master immediately. Ask them to quickly bring people to meet up with me. Little girl, quickly bring Grandpa to that forest." Feng Qing urged. "All right." The masked lady nodded. After putting on the mask, she led Feng Qing and ran out of the city. "Jiang clan, Mu clan, you've gone too far this time." Elder Mo also turned and strode towards the pill hall. His eyes were filled with killing intent. In the deepest part of Black Bear Mountain, Ling Yunfei asked, "They should have scattered by now, right?" "I'll go out and take a look," Qin Feiyang said. But as soon as he went out, he immediately returned to the ancient castle and shouted at Ling Yunfei, "Quickly help me." On his ankle, a fist-sized poisonous spider was biting his skin. His entire thigh was turning black at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Ling Yunfei's expression changed. He hurriedly took out a dagger and killed the poisonous spider with one slash. Then, he took out an antidote pill and fed it to Qin Feiyang. Until now, the two of them let out a long breath. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Those poisonous insects didn't leave." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said helplessly, "It seems like we won't be able to get out in a short period of time." Although they had the antidote pill, the number of poisonous insects was too large. They could eat their flesh in minutes. Not even their bones would be left. About half an hour later, Wolf King finally woke up. Qin Feiyang was overjoyed. He immediately went up and asked with concern, "How do you feel?" Wolf King got up and moved around a few times. His eyes were filled with grief. He said with anger, "Little Qin Zi, Brother Wolf is crippled." "What?" The joy in Qin Feiyang's heart was instantly extinguished by the raging anger. However, Wolf King suddenly grinned and said with a smile, "I lied to you. Brother Wolf is very good now. His spirit is very good." "Bastard!" Qin Feiyang was stunned and suddenly became angry. He slapped Wolf King's head and shouted, "How can you joke about this kind of thing? Believe it or not, I'll really cripple you now." Wolf King shrank his neck and said with a smile, "Sorry, I just wanted to make a little joke with you." "Humph." Qin Feiyang snorted and asked, "Aren't you usually very alert? How could Mu Fei and the others run into you? Didn't Brother Wolf get tired of playing in Black Bear Mountain? He wanted to come back to find you. But when Brother Wolf came back, he heard that you had disappeared. Brother Wolf was so anxious that he immediately went all over the mountain to find you. As a result, he was accidentally found by them." Mentioning this, a ferocious glint flashed in the Wolf King's huge eyes. "Heard it." Qin Feiyang was moved. With Wolf King's vigilance, this kind of thing was impossible. It was because of his disappearance that Wolf King was anxious and lost his vigilance, so he was discovered. Chapter 97. Wolf King said with a sneaky smile, "Are you touched? Do you want to cry? Then cry. Don't hold it in. No one will laugh at you. Get lost." Qin Feiyang kicked him. This guy really didn't change. Wolf King quickly dodged and smiled. When he noticed Ling Yunfei next to him, he asked, why is he here? His eyes instantly turned cold. He already knows my identity. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation at that time. So it's like that. Wolf King suddenly understood. He turned his eyes and looked at Ling Yunfei. How are you going to thank Brother Wolf? Who's talking? Ling Yunfei was surprised. Wolf King could only use telepathy now. Therefore, Ling Yunfei didn't hear the conversation with Qin Feiyang just now. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded in his mind, making him turn pale with fright. But then, he came to a sudden realization. There was only him, Qin Feiyang, and Wolf King here. Who would call himself Brother Wolf? Without any suspense, it must be the wolf in front of him. He looked down at Wolf King and wondered, why should I thank you? Hee, it seems that you still don't know. Do you think that with your little brain, you can get rid of Butler Ling's pursuit? Wolf King looked at him disdainfully. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Originally, he really thought that with his own ability, he could get rid of Butler Ling. But now that Wolf King said this, and thinking about it carefully, it seemed that there were indeed many things that were strange. Wolf King said, let me tell you, if it weren't for Brother Wolf secretly helping you, you would have been killed by Butler Ling. In the end, it was Brother Wolf who went to ask Black Bear King for help. So that's how it is. Ling Yunfei suddenly understood and quickly said, thank you, Brother Wolf. Qin Feiyang, thank you too. Without a doubt. It was definitely Qin Feiyang who asked Wolf King to protect him in secret. What's the use of just saying thanks? Why don't you just be Brother Wolf's follower from now on? I guarantee that you'll live a good life. Wolf King said shamelessly. Ugh. Ling Yunfei was stunned. Become a wolf's follower? Wouldn't that be too embarrassing? The atmosphere was a little awkward. At this crucial moment, Qin Feiyang stood out and smiled. Alright, stop messing around. Let's get down to business. Do you know where the Black Bear King's lair is? Wolf King said proudly, nonsense. Let me tell you, there is nothing in this world that I don't know. Will you die if you stop bragging? Qin Feiyang couldn't help rolling his eyes. A leopard cannot change its spots. This saying was indeed true. He looked at Ling Yunfei and said, the white-eyed wolf knows where the Black Bear King's lair is. Now the only problem is, how do we rush out of the poisonous insect nest? Ling Yunfei pondered for a moment and said, I'll go out and lure them away. You guys take the opportunity to find the Black Bear King. Don't forget to come back and collect my corpse. Qin Feiyang asked, aren't you afraid of death? Everyone is afraid of death. But since I've already promised to be your sword, I should naturally rush to the front and solve your problems. Ling Yunfei's gaze was firm and powerful. Qin Feiyang looked at him and said, aren't you afraid that your mother will be sad? Ling Yunfei hesitated. Alright, I'll go out. As a son, filial piety should be the most important. To be honest, sometimes I envy you. Although your background is miserable, at least your mother is by your side. And me? It's an extravagant wish to even look at her. Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed at himself. Ling Yunfei was stunned and asked, could it be that your mother is already, she's still alive? But there's an insurmountable and unbreakable gap between us. Qin Feiyang sighed deeply, took an antidote, and left the castle. Ling Yunfei frowned and looked down at Wolf King. Brother Wolf, don't you think that Qin Feiyang has a lot of worries in his heart? Brother Wolf already knows. But if he doesn't say, Brother Wolf won't ask. The only thing I can do is to help him silently and support him. The Wolf King said with a smile. His words were filled with deep friendship. Outside. Whoosh. Squeak. Hiss. Qin Feiyang held a torch in one hand and Chang Shui in the other as he sped through the forest. Around him, swarms of poisonous insects shot out from the weeds, bushes, and treetops. They bared their fangs and pounced on him. That creepy cry made one's scalp tingle. No, there are too many poisonous insects. If this goes on, I'll be swallowed alive by them. Qin Feiyang's face was as heavy as water. In less than 5 breaths, his whole body was crawling with poisonous insects, biting his skin. There were even a few poisonous spiders that tore his flesh and were drilling into his body. There was already an unknown amount of poison in his body. Even the antidote was too late to dissolve it. Fainting came sweeping over. Crack. Boom. Just as he was about to enter the castle. In the sky, lightning suddenly flashed and thunder rumbled, deafening. The poisonous insects on Qin Feiyang's body seemed to be frightened and turned around to flee into the grass. In the blink of an eye, not a single one was left. All of them were gone. Woo woo, crash, strong winds blew. Torrential rain poured. The storm that had been brewing for a long time finally arrived. The towering trees were all bent in an instant. Qin Feiyang was caught off guard and was directly sent flying. He hurriedly hugged a big tree and stabilized himself. Following closely. With a thought, Wolf King and Ling Yunfei both appeared. Wolf King shouted excitedly, "Wow, it's so cool. Cool your sister, hurry up and lead the way." Qin Feiyang shouted angrily and couldn't help but curse. This white-eyed wolf was really too unreliable. At this time, he still had the mood to shout and shout. Oh, oh, oh. Wolf King nodded repeatedly, glanced around, and ran to the right, saying, "Follow Brother Wolf." Wolves were originally nocturnal creatures. In their eyes, there was no difference between night and day. But Qin Feiyang didn't run a few steps before he suddenly fell to the ground and stopped moving. Qin Feiyang. Ling Yunfei immediately stepped forward and turned Qin Feiyang over. His expression suddenly changed. Qin Feiyang's face was frighteningly white at this moment, like a dead man's face. However, his lips seemed to be painted with a layer of ink. His breathing and heartbeat were also extremely weak. It was obviously a sign of poisoning death. At this time, the torch in Ling Yunfei's hand was also extinguished in the storm. For the two of them, it was undoubtedly one disaster after another. "Brother Wolf, Qin Feiyang is dying, come and see." Ling Yunfei roared helplessly in the rain. Heard. Wolf King hurriedly turned around and ran back. When he saw Qin Feiyang's situation, his pupils suddenly became distressed and he said angrily, "Didn't he take the antidote pill in advance? How could it be like this?" Ling Yunfei said anxiously, "The antidote pill can indeed detoxify, but there are at least a dozen kinds of toxins in his body now. The poison is too deep. If we don't think of a way, I'm afraid his life will be in danger." "Damn it!" Wolf King cursed angrily and urged, "Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to my back. I'll take you to the Black Bear King. It may have a way." Ling Yunfei hurriedly picked up Qin Feiyang and turned over to sit on Wolf King's back. Fortunately, Wolf King's eyes could shine in the dark. Fortunately, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky, so their eyes were not dark. Otherwise, it would be very difficult for Ling Yunfei to ride on Wolf King's back. "Continue to give him the antidote pill." The Wolf King exhorted and howled crazily as it sprinted away. But the howl was drowned out by the thunder. Half an hour later, Wolf King came to a canyon, panting. It was so tired after carrying 2 people and running for so long that it couldn't howl. But it gritted its teeth and continued to run deeper into the canyon. Bang! Halfway through, its limbs suddenly went soft and it fell down. 2 people and a wolf rolled into the mud. "Little Qin Zi!" Wolf King exclaimed. It wanted to get up, but its limbs were weak and it had lost consciousness. It couldn't crawl at all. "Brother Wolf, is the Black Bear King here?" Ling Yunfei asked. Wolf King said, yes, 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 it's in the deepest part of the canyon. Hurry up and carry little Qin Zi to find it. After Ling Yunfei carried Ling Yunfei away, Wolf King used all its strength and howled to the sky. Then it completely collapsed and fell into the mud. It was washed by the heavy rain and fell unconscious. This wolf howl resounded through the night sky. Even the sound of thunder couldn't cover it. Roar! The next moment, a loud beast roar sounded in the deepest part of the canyon. It was as if it was responding to Wolf King. Hearing this beast roar, Ling Yunfei was overjoyed. He used the return to origin steps and ran away. Soon, a little flame entered his line of sight. Crack! A bolt of lightning struck down, illuminating the night sky. Although it was only for a moment, he clearly captured it. At the end of the canyon, there stood a mountain peak that was hundreds of feet high. In the night, it was like a ferocious beast lying there. There was a huge cave at the foot of the mountain, and the fire came from inside the cave. Next to the cave, there were two huge creatures. It was the Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub. Why are you here? When it saw Ling Yunfei, the Black Bear King was quite surprised. Plop! Ling Yunfei strode to the Black Bear King and knelt in the mud, begging, Senior Bear King, please save Qin Feiyang. Slightly stunned, the Black Bear King lowered its head and looked at Qin Feiyang who was in Ling Yunfei's arms. Its pupils constricted. Hurry, carry him in. It turned and walked into the cave. Ling Yunfei got up hurriedly and followed in. Although it was a bear's den, it was tidy, clean and extremely huge. Even with the Black Bear King's massive body, it could move freely. A bonfire burned in the middle. It illuminated the entire cave. The Black Bear King said, put him there. Ling Yunfei nodded and placed Qin Feiyang on a pile of hay before retreating to the side. The Black Bear King bent down and observed carefully for a moment before frowning. Did you give him a lot of antidote elixirs? Yes, at least 7 or 8 of them. At this point, Ling Yunfei's expression changed and he asked, is there a problem? The Black Bear King shook its head. No, no, no. It's all thanks to you giving him antidote elixirs that he's still alive. Otherwise, he would have died long ago. Ling Yunfei heaved a sigh of relief. Senior, do you have a way to save him? I'm not confident. After a moment of silence, the Black Bear King shook its head. Chapter 98. The Black Bear King's strength was monstrous, and even the big shots of Black Bear City were wary of it. Now that even it wasn't confident, who else could save Qin Feiyang? Originally, if Qin Feiyang died, Ling Yunfei should be happy. Because this way, he would be able to break free and regain his freedom. But at this moment, he was extremely sad. The Black Bear King looked at him and said, not confident doesn't mean there's no hope. Don't be discouraged, do as this king says. Heard it. Ling Yunfei's spirit was lifted, he raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King expectantly. The Black Bear King said, cut his wrists and ankles and let out blood. What? Ling Yunfei was shocked. Qin Feiyang was already very weak. If he let out more blood, wouldn't he die on the spot? The Black Bear King said in a deep voice, there's no other choice now. His blood is full of poison. If you want to save him, you can only let out the blood in his body. You still have to let it out. Ling Yunfei's eyes widened in anger. What are you still hesitating for? Hurry up. The Black Bear King roared, obviously losing his patience. Ling Yunfei's body trembled, he hurriedly took out his dagger and squatted beside Qin Feiyang. But suddenly, as if he thought of something, he turned to look at the Black Bear King and said, Senior Bear King, Wolf King is still outside. I don't know how the situation is now, can you help it? The Black Bear King nodded and growled at the Black Bear Cub. When the Black Bear Cub heard this, it immediately ran out of the cave excitedly and disappeared into the rain. Who? Ling Yunfei took a deep breath, turned around to look at Qin Feiyang, and muttered, "Please, you must survive." Then he held the dagger in his hand and cut open a bloody wound on Qin Feiyang's feet and hands. Black-colored blood immediately gushed out violently. There was also a foul stench that assailed their nostrils. That blood is now equivalent to a highly toxic poison, don't touch it. The Black Bear King warned and turned to walk into the depths of the cave. There was actually a secret door inside. Rumble. Pushing open the hidden door, a dazzling golden light shone out. It was a huge pile of gold coins. Like a small mountain, they piled up in the dark room. Ling Yunfei turned his head and looked curiously. He immediately swallowed his saliva. How much wealth had the Black Bear King accumulated over the years? This was the true definition of a rich man, so rich that oil flowed out of him. A short while later, the Black Bear King walked out of the secret room and closed the secret door. When he came to Ling Yunfei's side, he threw a palm-sized metal box to Ling Yunfei. There are 3 life blood pills inside. When the blood in his body is almost drained, give him one. This is all I can do. Whether he can survive or not will depend on his willpower. The Black Bear King said. Thank you, Senior Bear King. Ling Yunfei bowed and thanked him. At this moment, the Black Bear Cub carried the Wolf King into the cave. How is it? Ling Yunfei hurriedly stepped forward, his face full of worry. The Black Bear Cub growled a few times and put the Wolf King on the ground. The Black Bear King explained, this bastard wolf cub just fainted from exhaustion. He will be fine after resting for a while. Ling Yunfei breathed a sigh of relief. But immediately after, his expression became a little strange. Bastard wolf cub. Why did the Black Bear King's tone sound like he didn't like Wolf King? He didn't think too much about it. Sitting next to Qin Feiyang, he paid close attention to Qin Feiyang's situation. After dozens of breaths, Qin Feiyang's heartbeat and breathing had become extremely weak. His life was hanging by a thread. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei hurriedly gave him the first life blood pill. The life blood pill had the effect of creating blood. And the effect was extremely good. With the birth of new blood, Qin Feiyang's situation finally improved. The color of the blood flowing out of the wound was gradually changing. From black, it slowly turned dark red. Then from dark red, it turned into light dark red. After the effect of the second life blood pill passed, the blood that flowed out was already not much different from the blood of a normal person. However, it was also mixed with poison. Because at the beginning, Qin Feiyang had already entered the state of being poisoned to the heart. The poison had already integrated into his internal organs. It was impossible to completely eliminate it all at once. His condition has stabilized. It's a close call. Now, give him the third life blood pill. After a while, give him a healing pill and an antidote pill. The antidote pill should be able to dissolve all the poison remaining in his body. The Black Bear King laughed. Ling Yunfei nodded and did as he was told. Unknowingly, the sky was white, and everything woke up. But the rain did not stop, the wind did not disperse, and the sky and earth seemed particularly dark. After a nap, I feel refreshed. Wolf King also finally woke up. After asking Ling Yunfei about Qin Feiyang's situation, he walked to the entrance of the cave alone and looked at the dark sky, his eyes flashing with a terrifying murderous light. Thank heavens, little Qin's life is finally saved. However, Brother Wolf will not let go of those who hurt little Qin Z. He muttered. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and turned his head to look into the depths of the cave. His gaze was fixed on the secret door. The Black Bear King seemed to have been watching him. He suddenly glared and shouted, "Wolf cub, you'd better get rid of the thoughts in your head immediately, or don't blame me for being hostile." "What thoughts? I don't know what you're talking about." Wolf King turned his head to look elsewhere with a guilty conscience, but his eyes kept rolling. At a glance, one could tell that he was up to no good. "No, I have to get him to leave quickly, or he'll definitely have other ideas." The Black Bear King muttered secretly. Cough. At this moment, a coughing sound could be heard. "I want water," following closely. A weak and powerless voice sounded intermittently in the cave. Qin Feiyang. Ling Yunfei was the first to react and hurriedly squatted beside Qin Feiyang. Seeing that Qin Feiyang wanted to get up, he hurriedly said, Don't, you're still very weak, don't move." Wolf King also immediately ran up and said excitedly, "Little Qin Zi, you're finally awake, Brother Wolf doesn't have to collect your corpse." Ling Yunfei said angrily, Bah, do you know how to talk? If you don't, then shut up." The Black Bear King and the Black Bear Cub also looked at him with disdain. Wolf King was a little embarrassed and laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang weakly glanced at Wolf King and said, "I'm very thirsty, find me some water." "Lie down, I'll go find some water." Ling Yunfei nodded, got up, looked at the Black Bear King, and asked, "Senior, is there any well water here?" "Well water?" The Black Bear King looked at Ling Yunfei strangely. Was there something wrong with this kid's head? How could there be any well water in the wilderness? It said lightly, "There is no well water, but there is ready-made rainwater. You can think of a way." "Rainwater?" Ling Yunfei frowned, grabbed the iron box with the lifeblood pill, and ran out of the cave. He came to a small tree and caught the rainwater on the leaves. Soon, the iron box was filled more than half. He hurried back to the cave and came to Qin Feiyang's side. He helped Qin Feiyang up with one hand and held the iron box with the other. He brought it to Qin Feiyang's mouth and said with a smile, "Drink slowly." "Thank you." Qin Feiyang gave his thanks and started to gulp it down. Ling Yunfei said, "If it wasn't for you, I would have died in the poisonous insect's nest, so the person who should be thanking you is me." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and reached out to push the iron box away. He glanced around the cave and his gaze fell on the Black Bear King. He said with a smile, "Senior, it seems that this junior owes you another favor." The Black Bear King said, "You saved this king's child. This time, take it as repaying your favor." Qin Feiyang didn't say anything more, and carefully sensed the condition of his body. Other than feeling weak all over, there was no discomfort. "You've already woken up, so you should leave." The Black Bear King suddenly ordered them to leave. "Leave?" Wolf King was stunned and said angrily, "Can't you see that little Qin Zi doesn't even have the strength to stand up? It's raining heavily outside, and the forest is also full of danger. You want us to leave now, isn't it obvious that you want us to send ourselves to death?" Ling Yunfei also stood up and cupped his hands. "Senior Bear King, in fact, we risked our lives to come here this time to ask for your help." "What kind of help?" The Black Bear King said. "We were blocked by the two families and the city lord's mansion." Ling Yunfei immediately explained the details of the situation in a simple and clear manner. After listening, the Black Bear King pondered for a moment and shook his head. "This king can't help you with this matter." "Why?" Ling Yunfei asked anxiously. The Black Bear King said, "Do you know why this king and the people of Black Bear City have been able to live in peace?" Ling Yunfei shook his head. "It's because this king has never interfered in the affairs of you humans. Although this king's strength is stronger than those people of Black Bear City, it is only limited to Black Bear City. In other places, such as Yen City and Xingyue City, there are countless humans who are stronger than this king. Actually, in the end, this king doesn't want to attract trouble. Do you understand?" The Black Bear King said. Ling Yunfei said unwillingly, "Then the beast tied last time, before he could finish, the Black Bear King said, "The beast tied is because they hurt this king's child. If not for this, this king would never have done this." Ling Yunfei's brows were tightly knitted, and his face was quite ugly. He had narrowly escaped death to find the Black Bear King, but he didn't expect the other party to be unwilling to help. What should he do? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, "Since that's the case, then let's go. But it's useless for us to go back now," Ling Yunfei hurriedly said. "Senior Bear King's concerns are not wrong. We can't be so selfish." Qin Feiyang smiled, raised his head and looked at the Black Bear King, his face full of apology, and said, "Senior, I'm sorry, this junior didn't think it through and caused you trouble." The Black Bear King was a little surprised. It had originally thought that Qin Feiyang would definitely pester it to death, but who would have thought that he would be so sensible? Qin Feiyang turned to look at Ling Yunfei and said with a smile, "Help me up." Sigh. Ling Yunfei sighed deeply, reached out and grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm, and slowly helped him up. Qin Feiyang then looked at Wolf King and laughed, "White-eyed wolf, I'll have to trouble you to carry me back. There's nothing I can do about it. Who asked Brother Wolf to get into trouble with you? Come on." Wolf King helplessly walked in front of Qin Feiyang. But at this time, the Black Bear King's eyes flashed, and suddenly said, "Wait. No need for you to send us off, we can leave on our own." Wolf King was very unhappy now. Because it knew that the Black Bear King's order to leave so quickly was purely targeted at it. The Black Bear King sighed, "This king will send you off, but this king will not go near the Black Bear City. Whether or not you can enter the city will depend on your luck, but you cannot mention this matter to anyone, and even more so, you cannot tell anyone that you have anything to do with this king." "Thank you, Senior Bear King. The two of us will definitely keep our mouths shut." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.